Hey, there's some really cool pictures of you with this hooker.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, January 11th, 2015. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 686.
This is No Agenda.
From the sick bay to the city by the bay, and I'm live from FEMA Region 6 in the capital of the Drone Star State, Austin, Texas. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where they closed the Golden Gate Bridge on me, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Did you hear my voice crack in the opening?
Sounds good.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Call ourselves the Crack Brothers.
So you had the... There you go. You had the lingering cough from the flu.
Yes, I still have it.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, man. This is now 2 weeks for you?
It's just a lingering cough. It's no big deal. Until you start coughing.
Yeah, right,
you don't
right.
want to.
Yeah. For me, it was the sore throat.
Yeah, the sore throat. I had the sore throat during the process. It didn't get that bad, but it was annoying. It was one day, I think, of sore throat.
Oh, just bad. Hey,
you still have the sore throat?
It's just a little twinge. Then and it was okay. And then I made a huge mistake last night.
Okay,
I had a piece of bittersweet chocolate.
But that shouldn't do anything.
Oh, I didn't think it would do anything.
Huh.
Man, it just kicked in. Maybe there was something in it, but
maybe there's some allergen in
there. Must be something in there, and it just kind of brought everything back. And I sucked some lozenges.
I'm wondering how many people that came back from CES are going to have flu. I'm telling you, it's got to be a hotbed of contagion.
Of activity. Yeah. Well, Christina's here, and I've just been trying not to get her sick, but I don't think I was contagious anymore.
You probably.
And of course, the kid's here, so I can't be laying around in bed being sick. That's not fun.
Right.
Yeah. So I pretend.
Do that anyway.
Here's how it goes. No, I'm fine. Come on, let's party. Hey, John, I think France is on board.
Francis is on board?
I think we finally got him on board.
Oh, yeah, you mean with the police state, the security system, the security state?
Yeah, I think they're on board now. They were reluctant.
A matter of time.
They were reluctant, but I think
it's a matter of time.
I think they understand the message now. It's like they've got to be on board with everything.
Yeah.
My goodness. It's... This is it truly, and of course, I'm following a lot of the European news through multiple channels. Through the Dutch channel is very interesting to see.
Yeah, that's probably a little skewed, I would think.
Well, of course it is, of course, but skewed towards a European perspective, or maybe an anti-European perspective, you could say. I mean, this brings the whole immigration thing back to the forefront and right into the wheelhouse of. Geert Wilders, Marine Le Pen, and others. The Nazis, obviously. They're all Nazis. And the UKIP, racist Nazis, horrible,
I
right
get the
wing.
biggest kick out of the way people, when you bring up UKIP, they're a racist group, they're racist, and they go on, but there's no, there's members of the party that, but there's members of the Democrat Party that are racist. There's members of the Republican Party that are racist.
Sure.
So what?
Here is Nigel Farage. This kicked up some dust. And it is a phrase in particular, which you can interpret in multiple ways, which I thought was interesting.
You have to return. Let's find the worst way to interpret it.
Of course. This was sent to me. Well, even David Cameron interpreted it in the negative way. This was sent to me as, play this. Wait a minute. Let me do the voice. Play this, so he is racist.
We'll prove to you.
I think there is a very strong argument that says that actually what happened in Paris today is a result, and we've seen it in London too, is a result, I'm afraid, of now having a fifth column living within these countries. We've got people living in these countries holding our passport that hate us. Now, luckily, their numbers are very, very small, but it does make one question. The whole really gross attempt at encouraged division within society that we've had for the last few decades in the name of multiculturalism. I want us to live in a Europe where we trade together, cooperate together, and are friends together. But what is happening in Europe, and we're seeing it between Greece and Germany, with increased antipathy between those countries because they've been forced together inside the straitjacket of an economic and monetary union. And indeed, I would argue that the free movement of peoples has actually increased tensions between European countries, and we're now further apart from each other than we would have been.
So Nigel, of course, takes this immediately towards his platform. Excuse me. But the term fifth column is what kicked up all the dust in the controversy. Yes. Saying that this would be that they were the fifth column. Well, I'm reading from the. We haven't played the jingle in a while. We probably should do that to it.
Consult the book of knowledge.
Yes, which we often do. Wikipedia. So the fifth column is any group of people who undermine a larger group, such as a nation or a besieged city, from within. Now, this can be interpreted in two ways. One is it is paralyzing the nation, that it is like an ant colony. The other one can be deemed as a resistance movement. So you can interpret it multiple ways. And the person who really used this the most interestingly, who was credited with using the term, Madeleine Albright.
In what sense?
Madeleine Albright, in a lengthy account of German sympathizers in Czechoslovakia in the first years of World War II, reserved it for the possible response to a German invasion. Many, perhaps most of the Sudetens would have provided the enemy with a fifth column.
Okay.
But anyway, I think what the way it is being interpreted is all UKIP and Farage, and of course this goes for.
This is about the least of all the. Why would somebody think that this was bad? What he said?
Well, because they feel it is racist.
Where's the racism?
It's a misnomer, because the problem is the Poles and the who are and Italians, everyone who was running into the UK on the freedom of movement and the legality to work in any EU country, taking away the British jobs. It's nationalism, which is what it's about.
Nationalism is different.
Yes, but it's being called racism. Mainly by people who are, I think, Polish, who want to go work in the UK and take away the UK jobs. That would be the people who are smart. Yes, of course they are.
Here's kind of a downside.
My sister does that too. It's fantastic.
I've heard this story no place else. This is a downside of this issue that's kind of plaguing some of the EU, specifically the UK. Play this clip: traveling crime ring hitting London.
Flights and visa-free travel may be enjoyed by tourists across the EU, but now another kind of passenger is taking advantage of cheap trips. Travelling gangs are highlighted as Europe's new criminal threat. Dora Smith takes a look at why Britain's the new #1 destination for this.
Here at Heathrow Airport, a plane takes off or lands every 45 seconds. They're carrying the usual tourists and business people and another kind of passenger, criminals. Cheap flights and visa-free travel inside Europe mean mafia-type gangs are flying in criminals from Eastern Europe, doing a spate of robberies and then flying them out again before the police can catch up with them. According to the chief of Europol, organised gangs are bringing criminals from places like Romania and Bulgaria specifically to commit crimes, particularly old-school ones like house burglaries and jewellery store robberies. They can then get out of the country almost immediately to be replaced by other groups. And there are unwilling participants too. In December, Scotland Yard revealed that trafficking victims were being brought over by UK-based gangs for robbery weekends in London designer clothes shops. Plane ticket records suggested the gangs were block booking seats on budget flights.
Hey, John, let's go do a little road trip. Hey, everybody, it's the
Hot Pocket
coming to rob you in the UK. This, of course, is stirring up a lot of noise and on MSNBC. This is Christopher Dickey. Do we know who he is? Columnist from Newsweek?
No.
Do you know this guy?
No.
Well, he's analyzed it as such.
The bad news is there were attacks on at least 3 mosques and prayer rooms in France over the last day and a half in reaction, obvious reaction to the Charlie Hebdo events. And in the broader context, this is an issue that's going to be used very effectively and cynically by the far-right politicians, not only of France, but especially in the rest of Europe, places like Dresden, places like the Netherlands, where what is their message? Their message is essentially that
kill people. No.
They don't like immigrants. They don't like Muslims. They don't like foreigners. Their message, if you want to just take all the coding off of it, is essentially racist and xenophobic. But in order to avoid...
there you go. There it is, racist and xenophobic. This is where it comes from a guy who I don't think lives in Europe. Racist and xenophobic.
Being called racists and xenophobes, what do they say? They say, we don't like Islam. And why do we not like Islam? Because Islam is an intolerant religion, and therefore we in Europe cannot tolerate those intolerant Muslims in our midst. It's a very effective argument. It's one that's been politically very successful in the Netherlands, for instance, and it is going to be fueled...
Really?
to a white-hot level by this incident and any further incidents that take place.
Yeah, well, that may be the intent. Has anyone thought of that? Maybe that may
be the intent.
Maybe that's just the intent. Spain is now proposing to introduce border control between the Schengen countries. Just to give a little background on the Schengen Agreement, this was a part of the Treaty of... I want to say Treaty of Rome, but it all folded into, of course, the Lisbon Treaty and what is now known as the EU. 1985 is when this started, with I think the first five member states of the European Economic Community. See, this is like boiling frogs. This has been going on for a long time. Bit by bit, they move it forward.
I've always found it was peculiar when you... I mean, the idea, the previous clip, the one I ran, which was the gangs,
yes,
which can now just roam around freely, and that report continued, and they discussed how the police in London, once the guys leave the country, you have no idea where they went, and if you did know, they wouldn't get any help from these other people anyway. You can't. The Romanians aren't going to give you any information,
right?
Now they're going to bring the Ukraine into the EU. That will really make things funny.
Well, they're not bringing Ukraine into the EU. That's not going to happen.
That's what they want.
Yeah, but that won't happen. I'm just saying not now. I mean, it could take a decade.
Okay, well, they got enough bad countries, bad countries that are kind of crime-ridden, poorly managed, crappy countries. And Bulgaria, Romania come to mind. How many Romanians do we have that contribute to the show? I don't think there's any. Whatever the case.
They're not all just because the Romanians, they're not all crappy. They're not all thieves.
No, I'm saying, but the country.
What are you saying?
Well, maybe I sound like a UKIP racist.
John@curry.com.
I'm a UKIP racist.
You are a UKIP. If I've ever heard one.
It seems to me that you're getting this systematic problems that they're not resolvable in the structure that they have existing, which is the EU structure. Just not a good structure. It stinks.
Oh, I agree. But that's exactly what they're doing now. Is they're saying, now we need political union. So we have the banking union. That's the most important one. Control the money. You can control everything. And then it's going to be, we should probably have an EU police force or something, recognizable by their fine-looking armbands.
Well, they did discuss in that report, it was something called EU-Poll.
Yeah, it's Interpol for EU. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, EU-Poll.
Yeah.
But, they're like a bunch of ballless wonders. I mean, they don't have any real... But they eventually will get that. I mean, it's just like the Homeland Security in this country.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be amazing.
That's going on overnight. Now they're running the place.
It's going to be fantastic. Well, they're already calling this the 9/11 for France. There's been the most people killed in a single attack for 50 years, and all the stats are out. This was truly the Merv Griffin show of terrorism. I mean, we've got everything in this thing. We've got Anwar al-Awlaki, the underwear bomber. Everybody's connected. Al-Qaeda in, AQAP is saying that they directed this. We did that. And ISIS is saying, yeah, didn't we do a good job? Everybody's just pile jumping. Which leads me to believe that this is an entirely different group altogether that actually pulled this thing off.
Depends on your definition of pulling it off.
Well, but it was fantastic, man, with the big firefights. And then, of course, now we bring in the Jews. It's really against Jews.
Yeah, we had the. Now they're according to this report. If you want to play a backgrounder,
yeah, I got one too.
Which is the Paris report backgrounder. There's a little tidbit in here I thought was hilarious.
Thousands of people leave flowers outside a kosher supermarket during a vigil to honor the 4 hostages who were killed at the store Friday. The large crowd included members of the local Muslim and Jewish communities in a show of solidarity after a frightening week.
We are in one of the most civilized countries in the world. There's always some kind of threat. Personally, I feel a little bit in danger sometimes. I don't feel safe.
Meanwhile, a global search is on for Hayat Boumediene.
Boy, and that was beautiful. That voice. Let me just roll that back for a second. That sounded like a professional voice guy that was just thrown in there.
Well, he was translating, so it was a translator.
Okay, that's what it did.
I feel a little bit in danger sometimes.
Yeah, but that was what. Yeah, of course. I'm not seeing the video, of course.
I don't feel safe.
Doesn't matter, really. Don't feel safe. It doesn't even matter because
that's the kicker.
The effect is the same. Yeah, I don't feel safe.
Meanwhile, a global search is on for Hayat Boumediene. Police believe she may have been involved in the murder of a French policewoman.
Did you see the still graphics of this lady?
Yeah. I like the one where she's holding a little...
a crossbow. Oh, man.
Pointing it at the camera guy.
This is fantastic. That's good. I like that meme.
You can't beat it.
That is great.
And the attack.
You can't beat it. It's just unbeatable.
Unbeatable. This is good stuff.
Whoever's producing this is great.
Of the kosher store. They describe Boumediene as armed and dangerous.
Why is she involved? Where did she come from? She wasn't there.
She wasn't even in the country at the time, but she's good. She's kind of like a perverted eye candy.
Yeah, she completes the story.
Yeah.
But some reports say she may have fled to Syria, possibly before the attacks even started. Her alleged accomplice and
then who cares?
Common-law husband, Amadi Koulibaly, was killed when police raided the store. A French radio station released a recording said to be Koulibaly, in which he lashes out at Western military campaigns against extremists.
I was born in France. If Muslims hadn't been attacked elsewhere, I would not have done this, but they are attacking.
But many others, including the brother of a policeman killed in the terror attacks, are calling for calm and acceptance.
To all the racists, Islamophobes, and anti-Semites, extremists must not be confused with Muslims. Crazy people have no color nor religion.
There have been massive demonstrations across the country to show support for the victims, and a big unity rally is planned for tomorrow, expected to draw as many as 1 million people.
Now, not only 1 million people, which means it's well organized, in a very short amount of time. We have Angela Merkel. They already had their meeting this morning, along with Cameron. I don't know if any other world leaders have shown up. The brother of the cop, in his actual statement, said something a little different than in that report.
Amalgamate a religion. Islam is a religion of peace, love, of sharing. It's not about terrorism. It's not about madness. We have nothing to do with that. My brother was a Muslim, and he was killed by people who pretend to be Muslims. They're terrorists. That's it. We would like to see all the pictures. When we see my brother on the pavement, dying, being killed.
2 things here. Now, in context of what he said, you can interpret it by saying maybe they were Muslims, but because they were terrorists and killing people, they are therefore fake Muslims. But using the word fake is a little different than saying these are not true Muslims. And the picture thing is interesting, as the French officials are refusing to release any photos of the slain terrorists. Then the brother's very upset. He's saying, "Why can't we see the pictures of these guys that you killed when we saw my brother, dead for laying on the pavement?"
We have the old missing dead guys.
Yeah, again. We're not going to show you the picture. And why? Is it because Je suis Charlie? If you show the pictures, then it's going to incite more violence. Isn't that exactly the whole point? Is to not self-censor? I'm not understanding that. Netanyahu jumps into it. I think this is significant. What is taking place now, and I have two examples. So first of all, was the French Prime Minister? They have a Prime Minister as well as a president?
The president is Hollande, right. The Prime Minister is that other guy.
And so he was standing, which I thought was cool, by the way. He stands amongst the people in the crowd, which, our politicians should do that instead of sitting with Brolf in the studio all cozy or at the Capitol on the remote. Go stand in the midst of some people. And his quote was, "Today we were all French Jews." So he took it to the Jews. Even though there's no evidence, I don't believe they were yelling "death to the Jews." Do we have any evidence of that? No. Netanyahu says to Celine and all French Jews and to all European Jews, "I would like to say the state of Israel is not just the place to which you turn in prayer. The state of Israel is also your home." And the neocons here in the United States of Gitmo Nation, do you remember James Kirchick from the Foreign Policy Initiative, FPI, the neocon outfit?
No.
This is the guy who orchestrated Liz Wall's exit from RT. Remember, he was tweeting and it was all set up.
Right.
And he's the drama queen who got kicked off RT for yelling about Putin's anti-gay laws, and you just went on and on and on and on and on about it.
Putin!
So he writes this article. Do Jews have a future in France? The FPI, these kinds of think tanks, they know how to get their message through. They know how to publish, and that this is on the Daily Beast, and the guy's going to show up in interviews. And he starts off, "There's no future for Jews in France as long as Europeans refuse to confront the tacit acceptance of violence by many of the continent's Muslims. That an assault on Jews would follow an assault on cartoonists came as no surprise." Indeed, there was a grim, if not explicitly expressed, foreboding in the aftermath of Thursday's attacks on the French satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo that the Jews would come next. Did you know that?
No.
For satirists and Jews are markers of modernity, and it is modernity that the Islamists who committed these heinous atrocities detest most.
Well, that's an interesting meme, because that was the meme that cropped up around 2002 in all the publications that were trying to analyze 9/11. And this modernity thing was a big issue, and it continued to be for a few years, and then it was dropped like a hot potato, and I don't know why. And now it's reemerging.
Big time, I think.
And it's really not it kind of made sense in 2002, the way, because of the presentations that were being made from both sides. But then it kind of died because it wasn't necessarily accurate and maybe bull crap from the beginning. And so it was just completely swept under the rug, and now they're bringing it back out for some reason.
And
these guys, I mean, the ISIS people, who are probably the epitomized.
They're killing Muslims. They're not killing Jews.
Going on? They do that too, but they have rationale for it. That is reasonable. But the modernity argument, I never heard it since, really, for almost 10 years.
It's kind of the reversal of what Pim Fortuyn was talking about when in 2000, before he was assassinated, and he was devout anti-multicultural society and for integration of the immigrants in the Netherlands, which really is the problem, is how the multicultural theme integrated these new immigrants. And by the way, these countries that was talked about, was the Newsweek guy or whoever, these countries have no problem with immigration. The Netherlands, as an example, has had Brits, Italians. They were always called guest workers. We had Turks. We had Surinamers. We had Moluccers. We had some problems with the Moluccers. They took the train hostage, and that turned out bad. But the Turks came after that, actually, and the Turks have completely integrated because they integrated. And now with the Moroccans, it's been a huge issue now going on 15 years. And what Pim Fortuyn would say is they are a backward culture. And so it's kind of reversing by saying,
that was modernized.
Yes. So instead of saying
nobody says backwards anymore.
Right,
I mean, I did a few minutes ago when I discussed the Bulgarians.
Right.
But of course, I was active.
But you're racist. No, you're racist. Xenophobe. That's obvious. Besides that,
I was channeling a UKIP representative. So they've changed from backwards, and my mother used to use that term all the time too. All those people are backwards, and then that morphed into this rejection of modernity.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And that disappeared, and it just went completely away. And now I don't understand the point of bringing it back into the conversation because it really doesn't fit.
Well, the only thing I can imagine is because Netanyahu's now involved in this, is to somehow bring in more attention to Israel. Israel's going to be attacked. I don't know. That's why else is Netanyahu jumping on this?
Well, possibly when you go back to your original argument, which is that we've gotten France to come over to our side, maybe explaining a lot of this. You might want to play this clip, which is another one to scare the public. So let's play Sleeper Cells Activated.
Developing news out of Paris tonight, where there is a worldwide manhunt for this woman, a fourth person French police believe was involved in recent terror attacks.
You got a rubber band.
Also today, during high-level briefings, French police were told terror sleeper cells have been activated over the last 24 hours, and that officers should erase their social media presence and carry their weapons with them at all times. This comes as France and its supporters around the world are mourning those who lost their lives this week.
The supporters of France or the supporters of the French? I'm not quite sure. That's a short list.
So we ended with now we get the bunch of cops armed or floating around. Oh, yeah. This is going to be great.
I'm sorry, I have to top you with this. Mike Rogers, who has just said, did you see his teary goodbye in the House?
I wish I had.
Oh no, you don't. 38 minutes of. I promised myself I wouldn't do this. I didn't have time to cut it down. But he did a stylized piece on CNN because, of course, as you know, he is a disc jockey.
Now he's a broadcaster.
That's right. A broadcaster, yes. A pronounsticator. So he will be doing some kind of radio show. And he is also now officially the terrorism correspondent and resident expert for CNN. And they've done a stylized piece with him, like hanging out in some swanky CNN backstage kind of set. And he's leaning against the table. And
he's always wanted to be in show business.
And he's got a whole little lead-in music here. Check it out. And he's going to scare the bejesus out of you people.
We know that in places like Syria and Iraq with ISIS members, that they're encouraged to either stay home in a place like France or go back home to a place like France to conduct a terrorist activity. It's very, very difficult. There are thousands of individuals, we believe, from all over Europe and the United States, by the way, Canada and Australia, who have traveled to Syria and come out. It's hard to say that it's a failure if they don't get everything exactly right. What it was is that we just didn't catch up in time to this individual plot.
Just didn't catch up in time. This is not a failure.
I've been concerned when I was chairman. I'm still concerned today that the sheer volume of those possibilities are just one plane ticket away. They fight in Syria.
Now, when he says that, just one plane ticket away, they cut from a side shot to him close up. It is truly programming, It's just one plane ticket away.
One plane ticket away. They fight in Syria for some determinate period of time. They become more radicalized. They have combat experience. They go back to their home country, somewhere in Europe. They decide they want to conduct an attack in the United States. They buy an airplane ticket and come here. And if the intelligence services don't catch them coming in or out of a theater of battle like Syria and Iraq, then they're going to be allowed to come back to the United States. That's very, very concerning. And candidly, it is a matter of time before something like that happens in the United States.
Candidly, some inside dirt. It's just a matter of time.
This guy's an asshole. Now, did you notice
Sorry.
Yeah. Did you notice that other meme that was... I didn't think much about it until I started hearing Rogers here, but now I'm thinking about it. Is the, again, like you said, I think your thesis at the beginning, which is we've got to get France into the security state.
Get them on board, yeah.
Get them all on board. Is this meme, which is, well, the United States had these two men on their no-fly list.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, nobody paid any attention to it. This is bull crap.
Well,
this is a lie. Let's look him up. No, for one thing, they don't do whatever their names are. It could be a million variations, which is the real problem with no-fly list.
Spelling and all that stuff, yeah.
And so, they were sure. Why would they be on the list in the first place?
Yeah,
just to kind of hint to us that we have our tentacles are all over the world,
yes.
And these two Frenchmen who have never been to the United States that have somehow we have put them on the no-fly list. I'm not buying it. I think it's just a bold-faced lie.
And MSNBC Ed Schultz is preparing you for the police state.
Well, how much more can we tighten the grip on society to prevent things like this? I mean, there's a great deal of pervasiveness that's going on right now that a lot of people object to. But now when something like this comes up, when you start talking about the militarization of police, you start to understand it a little bit or maybe view it in a different light. Your thoughts?
Well, as I was listening to Heather's very wise comments, I was thinking, yes, these attacks were professional, but they reminded me of many of the massacres we've had in the United States in the last few years that have typically had about the same number of fatalities and sometimes more.
Yeah, we're an old hat. We know how to do this.
Virginia Tech had more. Newtown had more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you look at it in a different light. Yes, I'm starting to get it. We need
now
more.
I understand why we need SWAT teams and giant army tanks in every little town because
to protect the French.
Issue a warrant for somebody's arrest for not paying his traffic tickets.
Yeah,
that's why we need the militarization of the police department. So they bust in and say you owe us money for a traffic ticket.
You've been podcasting without a license.
Well, that's coming.
Yeah, it is.
So Ed Schultz is all in on this.
Well,
now it makes sense. It makes sense to me that we have, because of this. What has happened in the United States of any consequence, especially statistically, that involves terrorists, Arab terrorists, or Muslim terrorists? And the things he cited, the shooting from, I guess, one of the tower shooting, the University of Virginia, Newtown, which is bogus, and all these other ones. Where was the Muslim terrorist thing? I don't see it.
Dvorak. Open up the door, Jim Dial.
Open the door, man. Better stop it. Actually sounds pretty good. No, it's not there. It's not there. But this is...
But Ed Schultz sees it.
Yeah.
It's a visionary.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what I'm worried about. There's nothing we can do about... there's a lot of people obviously still following him that didn't really shoot the guy on the ground. And all of that's true. We need to move beyond that kind of stuff because this is moving at breakneck speed. They expect 1 million people to be, maybe they already are.
The French but the French like to have big events.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And rightly so. What are you eating?
They go on general strikes.
What are you eating?
In France. It's against the law in the United States to have a general strike.
What are you eating?
Oh, you can't do that. Oh, okay, whatever you say, I won't do it.
What are you eating?
Because it shuts down things. You can't shut down things. In France, you just go general strike. Everybody takes a day off.
Can I ask you a question?
No. Yes.
What are you eating?
That's a lozenge so I don't cough.
Okay.
I put it in my mouth and then I take it out so you don't constantly hear the clunking against the lozenge against my teeth.
Oh, because I hear you taking it out of your mouth and putting it back in, and I hear the ruffle of the bag.
Is that more annoying than the thing just leaving it in there?
I hear the bag.
No, this is what you're hearing.
I don't let you hear the bubbling of the bong. Come on, man, be professional.
Well, you have better. You're more professional than I am.
There you go. That's it. Interesting response from Zabig. Zbigniew, yeah.
So they put some oxygen on him, snapped him out of it, and he came out and said something.
I think they actually wheeled him into the studio, his daughter's studio, Mika.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm liking her more and more.
Yeah, you keep saying this. She must be doing something hypnotic, and you're falling for it.
Yeah. If only she could sing, then I could switch from Team Taylor to Team Mika. This is the big new Brzezinski. Brzezinski, of course, famous as National Security Advisor. To
Carter.
To Carter, yeah. And there's video of him, touching down.
Most famous for his books.
Well, but there's a great video of him. His chopper touches down in Afghanistan, and he's riling these guys up and saying, all this land, this will be your land. We're going to help you take care of it. You're going to take your land back. And this was the Mujahideen, of course, who we armed and set up and later arguably became Al-Qaeda. So he was deeply involved in non-pacifist activities. And of course, yes, his book, The Grand Chessboard, I think is the most famous one.
Yeah, that's the one you refer to or used to.
Right, which, the pieces of that game, as described in his book, are fitting nicely into every single slot. But he is, if this was the beginning kind of a World War II, where, we've got all kinds of things happening, he would be the Chamberlain, arguing for appeasement, to go easy on the terrorist elements.
But we have to be patient and realize that this is going to be a long-haul challenge to us, and we have to be also very measured in how we conduct ourselves. The most important thing we have to do, in my judgment, is to avoid becoming the enemy number one of Islam in the eyes of the believers in the world of Islam. And I think we have to draw clear lines and be patient and also be responsible. We have to preserve our rights, that is to say the freedom of expression and the freedom to express our views. But at the same time, we must avoid being provocative and unnecessarily nasty, because some forms of humor directed at, for example, Prophet in recent times in some publications in Europe were extraordinarily provocative, because obviously we are democracies, we have to have freedom of expression, but it doesn't do any harm to be measured, even in humor, and to avoid engaging in forms of humor, sardonic or whatever, that then becomes profoundly offensive to the deepest religious motivations of people who are insecure, who are confronting modernity for the first time,
there it is.
Who easily interpret slights into offensive, intolerable acts, and who can then be swept up by a fanatical movement.
I hadn't heard it the first time. There it is. This happens a lot, by the way. No,
that's the way the show works.
Yeah. So the modernity thing, that, and now Zabig doing that, now it's a thing. Now it's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Apparently it's been brought back into the meme fest, the meme go round.
Yeah. Modernity. So what do we have to do? Be less modern to be nice? I'm not sure I understand.
I don't know what he's talking about. But you did mention something, and I have to now relate an anecdote, which is I was watching television the other day.
Oh, no. Around. This is not what we do.
And I'm flipping around, and I see the James Bond movie, The Living Daylights.
This was a Timothy Dalton Bond movie, was it not?
You have a great memory. Yes, this was one of the Timothy Dalton dogs of the Bond series. But in this movie, which was done in 1987, that's when the Reagan and the boys were supporting the Mujahideen, which I never pronounced correctly.
Mujahideen.
And they would go, and so he's in the Middle East during this story. This is a movie worth renting just to see what was going on. The entire what became Al Qaeda operation, which was fighting against the Russians largely, because the Russians were totally corrupt.
Right.
And they were fighting against the Russians, and we were fighting with them. Was run by the British, MI6. Like the top Arab guy was a Brit with a British accent.
Oh, nice. Let's see.
It was very, very funny. Like, wow, this movie, because it was all pre the switcheroo.
Well, yeah, context, 1987. So this was before the wall came, before Hasselhoff brought the wall down, the Hoff.
Before a lot of things changed.
Right.
So it's a very interesting film. I think it's one of the more revealing in terms of the structure of things then. I mean, the other movies there's so much fantasy, it was like out of control, but this was less fantasy. I think it was just they were trying to do with Dalton, trying to bring him down to earth. And this was I would recommend people watching this if they have a couple hours on this.
Storyline: James Bond's mission is to firstly organize the defection of a top Soviet general. When the general is recaptured, Bond heads off to find why an ally of General Koskov was sent to murder him. Bond's mission continues to take him to Afghanistan, where he must confront an arms dealer known as Brad Whitaker. Everything eventually reveals itself to Bond. Yeah. No. Oh, this was Jeroen Krabbe was in this one, Dutch guy, Dutch actor. Huh. Okay, you're right. That's worth the. Now, on that note, Christina and I went to. It's raining here in Austin. It's freezing rain at night. Actually, it's really crap. Yeah, it's crap. What are we gonna do? We went to Recycled Reads, and I think we talked about this. This is where I brought half of them when we moved to the new place in Austin. This is where I brought half of my books, and it's connected to the Austin Library, and then they clean them up, they categorize them.
I get Recycled Reads. I was thinking, what do they take clarinets and sell them to the poor? I mean,
READS.
What you're talking about?
Recycled Reads. Exactly. Yeah, there's I have a read. Not quite. And so you can buy a book there for $1. Paperbacks 50 cents. And the cool thing is everything benefits the library. So what you typically do is you go and you buy a crap load of books, you read them, and you bring them back and give them back. And at the same time, they have some money. And they can sell the book again. It's not a bad idea. And so I'm roaming around, and I pick up this book. I think, oh, that's kind of interesting. Maybe I should buy that. And it's a small book. It's called The Arabs, A Short History. And what's interesting, and this needs to go on the list, this was published in 1937, and it was a kind of a fluke. This professor from Harvard, Philip K. Hitti, Hitti, and his buddy, they really didn't. They were just looking for something to do, and they said, why don't we put together a little history on the Arabs? I'm sure that's the way they pronounce it too. And they threw this book together, and right around that time, maybe a couple of years later, there was an insatiable need in the United States specifically for knowledge of the Middle East. This was now kicking in, and nobody knew anything.
What was the writer's name on this?
Philip K. Hitti, Hitti.
Okay.
Yeah. The Arabs, A Short History.
Yeah, I got it on Google Books. I'm looking.
Yeah. And so this thing became an overnight class, well, not overnight, a year later or so, a super selling book. They've done multiple revisions. It keeps getting published over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's been recently published by Regnery, and everyone's familiar with that publishing company.
I'm not.
In 1996.
Yeah. The one I have is the 96, but it's a 2002 printing that I have.
Okay.
And here's what's interesting about it. And there's an intro that kind of explains, the history of how the book came to be. And it goes through the 800 years leading up until the 50s, I think, now with the reprints and the new editions. But 800 years of the Arab and the Middle East, but skips 400 years in the middle, which is the Ottoman Empire. just completely ignores it, which is interesting because it makes the book very, a lot shorter.
Yes, it would.
But also, when you think about it, it's really that's a whole separate deal that just almost stands by itself. But when you look at all leading up to the Ottoman Empire, so many inventions and science and poetry and so much came out of this this region. And by the way, Syria. That Syria, Greater Syria, I guess as it's still known, you start to get some context about what's happening today, truly was Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Israel. It was the whole region. So when you talk about the Islamic State and what they really want,
that's what they're trying to push that back together.
And then it came into context for me, and I'm almost done with the book. It's really easy to read, but you just sit and you go, oh wow, okay, now I get it. Now you understand a lot better the differences and the Semitic, which is of course all people from the region. Anti-Semitic is not just anti-Jew, and the difference between the Arabs and the Jews, and you really start to get a feel for it. And now I understand when the president says degrade and ultimately defeat ISIS, he's really saying we want the 3-state solution of the Middle East. We want Kurdistan, we want Iraq, and we want this Islam, this other thing, Islamic State, which would be Syria basically, but just throw everything else in. And in my view, that's purely for, pipeline reasons or whatever, but have those guys manage it. But they're not that important. It would be a transport thing only. And Kurdistan needs to, the Kurds need to be independent and need to be protected. And Iraq needs to be protected. And you can see that this is what the deal has been all along. And it really comes into focus by reading this book. I highly recommend it. It's a great book. And it's just, it was complete. Well, karma, I don't know what it was. It was magic that it fell into my hands.
Serendipity is the word you're looking for.
That is the word, serendipity.
All right, well, I'll take a look. I'll look for it.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's because, it's so complicated. What do we know about any of this stuff? We don't know crap.
Well, we don't want people knowing about these things.
Well, no, that would ruin it. Then we can't tell them what it is.
And you can't yell at the UKIP for being racist and all the rest of it.
What a bummer. Hey, by the way, just going back to the Charlie thing, I'm not sure if it was happened or not, if it's being covered up. Helrik Fredu is apparently was one of the, if not the police commissioner, one of the lead investigators, committed suicide during this whole ordeal with his service weapon at his desk.
What?
Yeah, I know, and it's only being reported kind of by not really a mainstream reporting. So, where do I get proof that this really happened? But when you search around, Helrik, Helric, Fredu, Fredou,
Helric, Fredu, Fredou.
What?
OU?
Yeah. So they're saying
have you gone to google.fr and looked around there?
No, I haven't done that. No.
Here it is. Another Mossad victim.
Well, right. That's the stories that I keep bumping up. I'm like, okay, fine. I would just like an official report that says the guy killed himself from, like France 24 or Le Monde, or give me someone who's really reporting. Not Sputnik.
I can see what the point of this is. They're trying to. Okay, so this guy.
Yeah, I know what the point is. They're trying to say the Mossad.
The point is to make it look as though this entire Charlie Hebdo thing was
by the Mossad.
To stir up shit between the French, which has this huge Muslim population, and
also
French,
a huge Jewish population,
stir up shit. Mm-hmm. To make, to get things to come to a head, or maybe even to get Netanyahu reelected, which is going to be something of a challenge.
This is another thing.
But I think this is just after the fact bull crap.
I mean, I don't have any real evidence that this actually took place, but I just can't find a report that I feel comfortable with.
That the guy committed suicide, or that he even existed?
Yeah, or that he's dead or anything. Now, mind you, I'm still recovering from the flu. I've got my daughter here, so I was a little weak on the deep dive. I did deep dives on some things, but not on this. I figured it would be better to throw it out to the producers.
Rush.
Yeah.
No rush.
No rush. It'll be around.
We'll figure it out later.
This thing's going to be around.
Take a look at Google.fr and see what I get.
Yeah. Let me see a couple other things that I had on this. In the Netherlands, according to the Telegraaf, which got it from Bild, German publication, which I would say is reasonably respectable. Former U.S. General Michael Flynn, who I believe at one point was DIA, Director of Intelligence, he was clear in telling Bild that these brothers had contacts and were in contact with other like-minded terrorists everywhere, including the Netherlands. You're next, Holland. You are next. Be afraid. Which, honestly, you should be. Because this will happen. This more is on its way. It has to. This is the theme. This is the just scaring people. And of course, now we've got a lot of these laws in place. Let's not forget that we had what's her name, Theresa May. Time to play that one. I love that one.
This legislation is important. The substance is right. The time is right.
Oh, yeah.
And the
timing
way in which
is
it
everything.
has been developed is right. It is a properly considered, thought-through set of proposals that will help to keep us safe at a time of very significant danger. It has been drawn up in close consultation with the police and security services. In an open and free society like ours, we can never entirely eliminate the threat from terrorism, but we must do everything possible, consistent with our values as a country, to reduce the risk presented by our enemies. It is a struggle that will go on for many years, and the threat we face right now is perhaps greater than it ever has been. And we must have the powers we need, we're determined to defend ourselves.
Well, they got the powers they need, and if there was any question, we need more of them.
I think this Fredu guy may have been another victim of chemical drug-induced suicide.
Oh,
he's suffering from depression,
yeah.
And all the rest. And next thing you know, he kills himself in the middle of writing the report. Comes from if you go to the Google.fr,
okay, so there's real reporting on it. Good.
Yeah. Anyway, onward.
Yeah, unless you have anything else.
I think that's all I've got. I wasn't prepared to do too much on the French thing since it's still developing. But I think your initial thing was
they're on board. France is on board.
Was getting the French to get into a police state like ours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that it'll be very interesting because the French really do, they kick up a storm, man. What do we do? And I just have all these thoughts as I'm going through it. The French still go out on the street. And of course, they, I don't know what the internet usage is in France. I'm sure it's retarded compared to the United States. Although they were very forward thinking with the Minitel systems back in the day, which I always thought was pretty cool. But they also kept the Minitel for a long time while people were, saying, "Hey, we want AOL, we want America online, please. We want France online if we can have it." But in America, this is the moral self-licensing. You just go on there on your Facebook and you say, "Hey, you, we won't back down, freedom of speech." And then you go and smoke some crack or meth or whatever, and you're done because that's all we got to do here. We don't actually have anyone doing anything because you've given yourself the moral self-license. Hey, I screamed. I yelled at him. And I'll show those terrorists.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
I
posted.
I changed my icon.
Yeah, not a lot of people changing the icon to the Prophet Muhammad as I suggested, which just shows me.
I think somebody else had a good one, which was change it to Muhammad Ali. Just kind of strange irony.
Even our super, what's the guy who did Felix the Cat? What's his name?
I don't know.
Yeah, the American guy, American cartoonist.
Yeah.
He's famous.
Yeah, I know Felix the Cat.
Yeah, who did that?
The guy's not still alive.
Who's the guy? Okay, now you're...
Felix the Cat guy's got to been dead for 20 years.
Who is the American cartoonist in France? He lives in France now. This guy is... this guy. This guy. What's his name? Robert Crumb.
Robert Crumb lives in France now?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Felix the Cat.
Fritz the Cat. I'm sorry. Fritz the Cat. Not Felix. Fritz the Cat. They keep on trucking. That's what he's
Yeah, Robert Crumb. I met him once.
Yeah.
What a character.
He was just looking at him. He looks like a character. What was the context of your meeting?
Yeah, there was something going on when they were revitalizing the San Francisco Examiner when Hearst took it over, and they had this big party, and he was one of the guys there.
Huh.
And I went up to him to ask him if he would do an illustration for a book I was working on.
Did he shine you?
He told me to fuck off, basically.
He seems like that kind of guy.
Not so many words.
He seems like that kind of guy.
And then he did an illustration, exactly what I was looking for
someone else.
Other douchebag.
Nah, okay, now we know what he's made of.
So that was irked me to no end. And he...
so he was pressured that people were saying, hey, man.
He's a genius, there's no doubt about that.
So he was being pressured. He was being pressured. Hey, man, how come you don't do a Muhammad thing, man? Come on, man. What you doing, man? And then he copped out. He did a Muhammad's ass with like a hairy ass with flies flying around it, and then underneath is like there's like Muhammad, Muhammad, my friend, or maybe even said Muhammad Ali, something stupid like that. You cop out. Muhammad Bakshi. I'm sorry, the ass of Muhammad Bakshi.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't need the aggravation.
No, nobody needs the aggravation.
Yeah.
But, the question is...
And he's an American underneath it all. You can live in France all you want, and you still have American... Oh, I don't think so. I don't know if it's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is true in our completely politically correct world of the United States of Gitmo Nation.
Yeah. I think even we're politically correct at some level.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
But it's a fact.
I think, at what level do you think that is?
It's a really low level, thankfully, but it does exist. I don't think it hurts the show necessarily, and it makes the show probably more palatable.
Yeah, there are limits, but I'm only thinking of the listener. I'm not really thinking of anything else.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's all we think about. We're doing this show for a group of people that are listening to it, and they want us to do the show. They want us to do the show for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is because we do bring some insight through research that they don't have time to deal with, but they have suspicions that a lot of this stuff is bullcrap, and now they got a show that tells them it is bullcrap. Their suspicions are confirmed.
And on that note, I would like to thank you for your courage and say, in the morning to you, John Charlie Dvorak.
And in the morning to you, Adam Curry, Charlie. In the morning to all the ships at sea, by the way. And we also have boots on the ground, feet in the air. We have subs in the water.
Lots of subs.
Have a lot of dames and knights out there.
Lots of subs in the water. We'll be talking about that in a bit as well. In the morning to the chat room, everyone checking us out on the stream. NoAgendaStream.com is where you can find both of them. And in the morning to our artist, so it was 20 Watt Bulb again who came back with the artwork for episode 685. And that was the self-censored graphic. Nice piece, by the way.
Yes, I agree.
It was a nice piece.
20 Watt Bulb, I believe, also sent us, or he sent me at least, some graphics for our... I told him we're never going to do this. It just was some idle chatter that we tend to do on our show of things that we'd like to do, or maybe wouldn't like to do, but like to talk about. So he sent us a Golden Globes red carpet art.
Oh, is that tonight?
Yeah, it is tonight. Yeah. It's going to be great.
It's going to be... Christina and I are going to a chicken shit bingo.
You going to bingo?
Chicken shit bingo.
What does that mean?
Oh, you're not familiar with the chicken shit bingo?
No, and you can keep saying it. I'm still not going to be familiar until you explain it.
Okay, you go. This is a bar, and then there's a big bingo board on the ground. With numbers. It can be depictions of prizes or anything, but it's typically like a bingo sheet. And there's a cage around it, and there's a chicken in there. And the chicken walks around, and he takes a dump, and then whatever he dumps on, that's the next number. And chickens dump a lot.
This sounds like a Texas thing.
It is. And
you could be there all night, but if the chicken's constipated.
No, then we'll get a new chicken. And you feed him things, too. You throw things at the chicken. And you've got to entice him. You yell at him. Hey, man, poop over there.
Brother.
And there's alcohol involved.
Yeah, I'm sure. Probably giving some to the chicken wouldn't hurt. All right, we have a few people to thank for the show. 686
palindrome,
which sounds a little palindrome. Nobody picked up on it. It also sounds a lot like an Intel processor. I'm running a 686. Really good for you. This is getting to be a slow time of year. It's pretty obvious that we're struggling a little bit. I would hope people would pick up the pace somewhat. Anonymous from Orange County, New York, came in at the top as the executive producer at 34567. He's first and foremost, caps lock Dvorak for your courage and all the work you do for the best podcast. I have to expand this a little bit here. Hang on.
First and foremost, thank you, Podfather Curry, John Caps Lock Dvorak, for your courage and all the work you do for the best podcast.
Oh, I see
in
that.
The universe.
Get a C for caps lock.
Yes.
Jeez, this just goes on forever. I should open it with something else. I can't even get it on the screen.
Really? I'll read it. You work on it. I humbly request you bestow some NA karma for my father, who was flying today, January 11th, to the belly of the Gitmo Beast, Washington, D.C., to compete to be selected as a representative for America's road team captains.
Okay, I'm back.
This is basically the Super Bowl of being a truck driver, and it means the world.
It means the world to him to be able to take part in it. I hit him in the mouth a few months ago, and now I know that he listens to the show every week, and he drives doubles. Is he going to drive triples? You know what those are, right?
Yeah, it's two trailers.
Yeah, you ever seen the 3?
No.
The triples?
Well, you can't drive a triple in and out of New York City, I don't think. A double.
No.
Double is even crazy.
You can drive them, I think in Oregon, they're legal. It's frightening when you drive by one of these things.
Yeah.
Anyway, he knows a shot at karma will give him the courage to do his best this week in D.C. and emerge victorious. And then he sends a link to what his father is competing in. You ever heard of this? A trucking...
Well, there's lots of trucking shows.
It's some sort of a competition.
I like it, yeah. Well, truck drivers, the backbone of America, everybody. Here comes the karma for your dad.
You've got karma.
Father Anonymous. What?
Win for no agenda.
Yeah. Put a in the mornings thing on your rig.
Patricia Worthy, $250 from Miami, Florida. JCD has note. John and Adam, I wrote for karma for some family members before Christmas, and I'm back. I'm in hopes. I'm back in hopes of finishing that job. Okay, this is vague. Well, this seems a little like buying indulgences. Somebody picked it up. She's the first one to notice this.
Explain.
Well, in the Catholic Church got a reputation at some point for, you'd go in and you'd give them money, in this case for karma, and they would give you a blessing or something, or something or other because of your donation. And it's essentially what I said essentially twice in the same two sentences.
I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead.
I'm not saying you should. I'm telling you I noticed this. And it amounts to indulgences of a modern sort. By the way, I want to mention to people out there who notice these kind of religious connections like this particular one. It was never our idea to sell karma.
We're not selling it. It's not being sold.
Well, we're not selling karma, but it was never our idea to even indulge in giving people karma. It was the listeners who demanded it.
Yes, we only did it once in a while, just as a little joke, and people want it. And for whatever reason, it seems to work for them.
Yes, we have too many anecdotes to ignore the.
And I think it's a global, matrix type herd connective thing.
I think it's the magic of the jingle.
Well, there's that. Yeah, it is a magical jingle.
She continues. I'm requesting relationship karma for my grandson. He needs a new girlfriend, and job karma for my daughters. They are going in the right direction, but let's give them a little push. I also think the donation puts me over the $1,000 mark, and if I'm picking my new name, you have a pen?
It's not on the list, I presume. Okay, hold on. I have a little mini pad actually for this now because
Patricia of Biscayne Bay.
Okay, hold on.
Dame Patricia of Biscayne Bay. Then she has her counting. Looking forward to each edition of the No Agenda Show. Thank you for liberating me from listening to the news. Happy New Year to everybody and everyone in the No Agenda family.
All right. Let me hand out the karma there. Relationship karma for her grandson. Is that what she said? Grandson?
And then job karma for her daughters.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Nice.
Then we have plain old Davy here from Texas, 23456. I wish to make this donation anonymously, and he goes on. The donation should put me over the threshold for knighthood. We have you down. As attested by my accounting attached. It meets your approval. Please knight me as Sir Davy of the Sooner State. My great-grandfather was detained as a Sooner in the Oklahoma land rush of 1889, so I thought it would be a fitting title. You know what the Sooners refer to, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, they were this was one of those periods where the government was going to say, okay, we're cordon off this state of Oklahoma in this case, and then at midnight or noon or whatever time it was, everyone can go grab some property and it's all yours. You can homestead it.
Oh, cool.
And so there was a group of cheaters
from Texas.
Well, probably, but they took off early. They didn't wait for the time.
That's un-American, man.
And they were called Sooners because they went too soon.
Oh.
And many of them were detained. They were arrested. And a lot of the irony of this story, depending on who tells it, is that a lot of the Sooners were arrested, but then they were later allowed to go grab some property because nobody took the whole damn state. No. You got so many acres, I believe. I don't know what the number was. And they got the worst part, like what's left over, the stuff that nobody wanted. Which turned out to be the places where most of the oil was.
They got the taint.
Anyway, I'm starting a new adventure with my smoking hot best friend. She likes Okie Sooners a lot more than Texans. Another reason for the Sooner reference is my title request.
Yep.
I donated a smaller amount in October, hoping for a shot at karma when she and I got together for the first time in more than 10 years. Although you were unable to completely honor the request, all due to my short-sightedness, by the way, short-sightedness. The karma came through anyway. We renewed our friendship, and now I'm on my way back to continue that renewed relationship. Thank you, and thank you for the best podcast in the universe.
Yay. Send a picture of her.
So I guess we need some karma for him.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to do that for him.
He wants it or not.
You got it.
You've got karma.
Yeah, yo.
Sir Sheets, Esquire, 23456 in Brewerton, New York. Lads, you rock. Stay loud and proud. A suggestion. We have knights and black knights. Recently, there was a posthumous knight. Could you call a posthumous knight a white knight? May I ask for some relationship karma? Rock on. I remain schwacking for freedom. Sir Sheets.
No, white knight? No, I don't think so. It could be silent knight.
No, it's
that's red lame. I agree.
All right.
Yes.
We don't have the ability to count every nose that we schwack.
You've got karma.
Schwacking for freedom.
Schwacking karma. And finally, Sir Stuart Rushing in Corvallis, Oregon. He comes in with a check, I think almost monthly. And no note, and I didn't know. He emails once in a while, but nothing related to this particular donation. I want to thank him and all the rest for contributing to show 686, and remind people that we do have another show coming up on
Thursday,
and Dvorak.org/NA is your target location to visit.
We'll be halfway through the month already by then. It goes so fast.
Too fast.
Or is that just as you get older, it seems to go faster, which is what I think. I don't know why.
No,
but
because there's actually a reason for that.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but it's a chemical reason. There's something that doesn't in your system. It goes at a faster pace or something. It makes things seem like time is going faster than it is.
Okay, so yes, as you get older, it seems
somebody can explain it to us in a note, and then we'll read it.
Oh, I'm very interested.
Yeah, as
in
you
that
get older, things go by faster. It's ludicrous, actually. And it especially makes you wonder when you go to the store and you get this old woman who probably time must be flying.
Here it comes.
And she's taking forever to dig through her purse to get the penny out. It's like, lady,
swipe already.
You have no sense of time here. Things are
pre-swipe, lady. I'm sorry.
I want to get to my complaints today, by the way.
Okay. Well, first, let me thank all of our producers, executive producers, and associate executive producers for helping us out. That was, I know it was very, we were in deep trouble until John sent out the newsletter, which these are works of art, by the way.
Oh.
I know, I have to tell you, it's works of art. I really enjoy what you're doing with.
You know what's.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that compliment, but there's something I find peculiar. You know, we pushing everybody to get on the newsletter list. And, of course, then they have to tolerate the newsletter, which is a work of art, and some people don't like art. But to me, we promote, but people donate. Here's what I do. I have the main mailing list, and it comes in automatically because as people subscribe, it goes into the MailChimp automatically and gets added. And then I go to PayPal, and every couple of months I scrape all the people that donated and put them on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody who donates is automatically put on the mailing list eventually, not right away. And it's always like we get a lot of donations. Some of them are $5, some of them are very 10. But every month it amounts to about 100 new people. And so I pull in, because when you pulls in, it does a merge purchase. It says, there's 100 new names. Why didn't these people subscribe themselves? It just befuddles me.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm stunned.
Well, I think, okay.
Every time I bring the 100 in, a new 100 people, and I look at there's 100 people that didn't subscribe to the newsletter, but they donated, which makes no sense to me, but it's just the way it is, I guess.
I think people are, they expect to. The way people usually get on email lists and newsletters is spam. Like, it should just be here already. So I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. One of the reasons I enjoy doing the show is some of the back office stuff, because you learn these crazy things about people's how they react to things, how they do things, and it's just interesting. But yeah, it's always baffling.
Well, again, thank you.
It's not that we don't mention that they should subscribe to the newsletter.
No. And the link is everywhere. On every single show notes page, everywhere you can find No Agenda, you'll see a link. And I need to do a quick plug one more time for noagendaplayer.com. This is the best resource we've ever had for this show in this category. We've had people doing translations, transcripts, all kinds, and that usually it peters out when people find out that crap, that's a lot of work. But this it's kind of like in fact, it's very much like a SoundCloud where it's annotated, but not necessarily by people going, whoa, funny, hey, cool, little comments and little blips, but it's annotated by topic, and you can go in, and I'm not sure who's doing the annotation. I believe anyone can do it. And you click on it, and it goes right to that spot in the show. You can tweet a link. You can copy the link from there and send it to somebody. It's brilliant. Brilliant, I tell you. A great resource and highly appreciated, of course. We don't do any of this work. This is all part of you, the producers. We'll be thanking producers later. Again, thank you to the associates and executive associated producers. Real credits, accepted anywhere credits are accepted because they're real. And unlike the phonies in Hollywood, we'll be very happy to vouch for you.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And of course, we always need everybody to do as much as they can to propagate our formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
There we go.
So I almost killed 2 guys this week.
You almost killed 2 guys.
Yeah.
2 like real guys, like human beings.
Yeah, people.
That would be amazing.
Okay. What happened?
Bicyclists.
Oh.
I'm going down the road, and then there's this crosswalk, and some idiot shoots in front of me through the crosswalk as fast as they can on a bicycle. They're not on the road. They're on a sidewalk, and you don't have time to see this. The person was not even in view, and shoots across the crosswalk in a situation. It's just, and these bicyclists are all over. They never stop. They're supposed to be. Aren't they supposed to follow the rules of the road? Aren't they supposed to stop at stop signs and red lights?
Yeah.
No, they go right through the red light, and they make they just go on as though they own the place.
Yes.
The cops do nothing about this. No. These bicyclists want all these, I want my own lane, I want this, I want that. And then they don't obey any rules. And then you hit them, almost hit them every so often.
Yeah.
It's just, you'd find this to be the case in Texas. In San Francisco now, there's more bicyclists screwing up things because they don't follow any rules. They're going in the middle of the intersection. They got cars going every which way, and they're working their way through the cars.
I am obviously I come from a biking nation. I've learned bicycles as transportation from a very young age, around 7, which was a radical departure from the bicycles that I had when I was before 7, riding around in Maryland. Kensington, Maryland, on the sidewalks, and I had one of those Schwinn with the banana seat and the chopper version. Remember that?
Oh yeah,
those were cool, man. You had the playing cards in your spokes, but you had to ride on the sidewalk. You couldn't ride on the streets because it was like a recreational thing. And the Dutch bicycles are sturdy; they're like tanks. You have big spots for big, like milk crates on the front to put stuff in, to carry, to transport your kids, whatever. And it is a biking culture. This is the mistake that the pro bicyclists make. We have in Austin a huge bicycle movement. I like the idea, just like in New York City, in Manhattan, we have the city bikes. It's very effective, and you can grab one, you can bike, you can park it. It's even free if it's under 30 minutes that you used it. However, it is a drastic mistake to think that anywhere that you can just put in bike paths even, and it's all going to work. It will take decades for the culture of biking to be embedded into the psyche of the population. When I drive to this day, when I make a right-hand turn, I am always looking in my right-hand mirror to make sure I'm not about to cut off a bicyclist or drive over one. These things take decades before that kicks in. Here in Austin, yeah, you can ride a bike and you'll be accepted. And, of course, we have a biking culture from Lance Armstrong, but now we have bikes really not just as racing, but as transportation. And, the good old boys, after like 1 a.m, you do not want to be riding a bike down Congress, because the good old boys in the trucks, they're going to coal roll you. Because it's not ingrained yet. So it'll take a long time. And you can be arrogant like that in the Netherlands. No one, the bikes, they don't pay attention to lights or anything, but it flows. It works. And no one gets mad. Like, I'm sorry, man, I bumped into you, whatever. It'll take a long time. And you and I think, will have expired before.
I think that it'll never happen in this country.
It's possible. It's possible.
By the time it does approach in some areas happening, and by the way, the part of this is a kind of a liberal idealism.
Yes.
Oh, they do. Look at Amsterdam. Oh, I went to Amsterdam for the first time. And, these people are on bicycles. Yeah. It is so much better.
Yeah, it will not happen like that.
we are a car culture.
Yeah.
We use a lot of oil.
Yeah.
Oh, this would solve the problem of energy.
Yeah.
And it's all bull crap. And it does, and we're a huge country. You can literally bicycle across the Netherlands if you wanted to.
I've done it. I have bicycled across the Netherlands as a young man.
But we're always trying to shoehorn what must be better. It's got to be better. Yeah, tell that to the Dutch when their bicycles were stolen by the Germans how much better it was. Didn't work out that well.
It's the same with electric vehicles. Our country in the United States is too big for electric vehicles. It's just too big. It works great in smaller countries. Yeah, you can drive an electric vehicle across the Netherlands. Not back again, but you can drive it across once. Yeah, it's true. No, we are a nitro burning, crowd pleasing bunch.
What other culture has drag racing to such an extreme?
I don't think any
big tournaments.
Is there drag racing anywhere else?
That have 10,000 horsepower cars.
that should tell you right there where we're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get over it. Get over this, the people out there that think we should all be on bicycles. The arrogance of these assholes, too, was they don't have it so much because I think they arrested the leader. But this critical mass, which was a thing they would do on the last Friday of the month or some commute day.
Oh, and they all biking?
All these bicycles would come out of the woodwork in San Francisco and clog up traffic.
Right. And everyone's dressed in costumes.
And just to make everybody's life miserable. And then one time I was in the, I swear this was fun. This was about 10 years ago, though. They stopped doing this. I think that, again, they arrested the leader, and that was the end of it. Because there's always some one guy who's got a lot of charisma, gets people to do this stuff. I'm shopping. I'm in in the vegetable section of Andronico's, a store in Berkeley, and I'm shopping, and here comes about 500 bicycles into the store. And so these bicyclists are everywhere, and they're yelling at everybody, telling us to get out of our cars and get a bicycle. And I'm saying, I'm on my feet picking vegetables. I don't know what you guys are talking about. You're crazy. And then they would just harass everyone. Then they all took off like a rocket. It was like everyone just shot out of the store after making everyone miserable for a few minutes. It's these guys.
All right. You don't like the bicycles. I get it. But
anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I understand. I don't hate the bicycles. I know how to live with the bicycles. It's come from that culture, but it's just not that simple. And that is what you said, this liberal idea, which of course Austin is extremely liberal, which I like. This liberal idea of we'll put the bike paths in. Oh, we have bike paths, and it's all going to be great. I'm getting a little involved in local politics. It's so small.
There's a bike path on Marin in Berkeley. People should go check this out.
Didn't mean to
this bike path goes all the way up Marin from Buchanan.
Stop.
There is never a bike on it.
I know. All right. The President's Podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to take a little
germane.
Clip. Yeah, I had to take a little clip of this because he is touting his numbers, how great everything's going here, which arguably is true. The numbers are good. There's people starving. It's not great. There's people with no jobs, and people falling off the end, but he needs to tout it, and he's listened very carefully on how to communicate his message these days to other broadcasters, which I like. But of course, as always, we have to start off with his hallmark. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. About a year ago, I promised that 2014 would be a breakthrough year for America. And this week, we got more evidence to back that up. It's been 6 years since the crisis. Those years have demanded hard work and sacrifice on everybody's part. So as a country, we have every right to be proud of what we've got to show for it. America's resurgence is real.
It's real!
That'll be the focus of my State of the Union address in a couple of weeks.
It's real!
I couldn't resist. It's real.
You just played that just to do that gag?
Yes, I did. I know. I'm sorry.
Walk.
I'm sorry.
You should be.
I should be sorry.
I got an interesting report that was.
I just want to say one thing about every single podcast the president does is always off balance. The left channel is always
almost
funny. 50% louder than the right channel. I don't understand why.
Because nobody knows how to turn the knob.
No one's paying attention. Hey, Barack, just read that.
Yeah, they just push a button and they leave the room.
You're right. Okay, hit it.
So we have all this stuff going on with Russia and the sanctions, and Merkel, we know, is a pal.
Yes,
of Putin's, like a buddy, and they talk both of them talk German and Russian,
and they have a direct pipeline with each other. Literally,
yes, they like to chat. But she went all in to some extreme on the sanctions, and even though she was against it, but she knows it's hurting Germany's economy more than anybody's. But she's still all in, and it makes no sense. And so I found this report on the Russian television. RT, and they I think are baffled by it too, and so they deconstructed what they believe might be going on with Merkel, and this kind of explains it all. Although I think it's a bit of I'm not buying it 100%, but I liked it, and at least it gives us something to think about.
Okay, the deconstruction.
Political analyst Naboish Malic thinks that Germany is following America's lead on sanctions because of Chancellor Angela Merkel's personal ambitions.
What is the next step from being Chancellor of Germany for somebody who's obviously not ready to retire, not ready to relinquish the limelight, not ready to relinquish some sort of power and influence in the world? The rumors in the German newspapers about how she's eyeing the spot of the UN Secretary General, which according to UN custom belongs next to a European, certainly suggest that they fit the entire story. They fit the facts. They fit the behavior. If Angela Merkel wants to become the next UN Secretary General, and we all know that anybody who has incurred the wrath of the United States will not stay long in that position, or even get elected if they don't have the support of Washington, then the appeasement policy towards Washington, for lack of a better word, suddenly starts making a whole lot more sense. From the phony anger over the phone taps to the persistent damage to Germany's economy and this U.S.-engineered conflict with Russia.
Thank you, RT. Why would you want to be, by the way, another non-English speaking Secretary General? Yeah, that's what we need. Can we get someone who just speaks English for once? I don't think Angela's very good at English. I never heard her speak English.
No, I don't think she is either. But she's not stupid.
But why would you want? But why would you want to be Secretary General? It seems like a shit job. I mean, we may be wrong about this. Is there real power in that job? I mean, you get to hang out with movie stars and stuff. That's cool. I mean, I get that.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that you mention it, it's possible that we're overlooking the hidden power of the Secretary General of the United Nations.
Well, I'm skeptical.
Wrong,
Yeah, but I mean, when it comes to the Security Council, I understand because I understand how that works. But
seems like just a big bureaucrat. But we don't know. We could be the entire American public and much of the world might be completely off base when we just think of you got Ban Ki-moon, these other clowns that have been in there.
And Uncle Don is like really, he speaks very highly of Ban Ki-moon, which may just be a hierarchy thing, but even then, really, I don't know. I find it strange. Just seems maybe. Well, we know there's going to be a next United Nations. I mean, that's clear. We went from League of Nations, United Nations. We need a next one when the Trilateral Commission decides to truly implement the New World Order. Okay. Here's where my research went, and it wasn't even that hard actually when it came down to it.
Russia will not issue driving licenses to transsexuals or transgender people following a recent government order. According to a report by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev signed off an order last week indicating people could be banned from getting driver's licenses based on their sexual identity and orientation. The order also bans Russians with so-called fetishism, voyeurism, exhibitionism, and paedophilia mental disorders obtaining an automobile license. Moscow has not elaborated on how exactly the law will be enforced, but says it's necessary to try and stem the large number of road accidents in Russia. Around 30,000 people are killed every year in Russian road accidents, according to government figures. Human rights groups have deplored the Kremlin's crackdown on the LGBT community.
Okay. So this is...
Before you say anything, this is a report according to the bullcrap artist from us. This is a report from American radio.
Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty.
Yeah.
And I believe that they instigated this reporting, which is very good because the BBC, actually I'll pull up the BBC. They don't have a video report. And it's not an attributed article, which I didn't know the BBC did that. It doesn't even say that it came from a news organization or not.
They do it when they're told to.
Okay. Russia says drivers must not have, quote, sex disorders. Russia has listed transsexual and transgender people among those who will no longer qualify for driving licenses. Fetishism, exhibitionism, and voyeurism are also included as mental disorders, now barring people from driving. The government says it's tightening medical controls for drivers because Russia has too many road accidents. Pathological gambling and compulsive stealing are also on the list. And let me see. And of course, they go into, in 2013, Russia made promoting non-traditional lifestyles illegal. And then they go in here. They say they're not quite sure how it's going to be implemented. So, whenever we get the Putin hates something, and we always love Putin hates gays, and now Putin hates the trannies. He hates the transsexuals. Gotta go. This is affecting him, and this is now catching some speed. So before it goes completely and utterly viral, which I expect it to do, just depending on what happens in Je suis Charlie land, let me give you the background so you can amaze your colleagues, friends, and family with your no agenda knowledge. John, I think you'll appreciate this too.
I'm all ears.
And there's a translated copy of the legislation in the show notes at 686.noagendanotes.com. It is Russian Federation Law 16440. There's a paste bin of it. The government, the approved attached list of medical constraints to management of vehicles, list of medical indications for motor vehicle means, list of medical restrictions to driving agent. And they say, I'm going to paraphrase, in this document that you cannot have a mental disorder and be an operator of a motor vehicle, which arguably makes sense. I'm not quite sure how we get around that. Do we have questions in the United States, or do we test if you're insane or if you have a medical disorder? I don't know if that takes place anywhere.
Know. I haven't taken a test for a while. I don't know that they ask.
So
are you nuts? For standing in line.
In the legislation, it says, you must not have any mental issues. And these mental issues are listed as defined by ICD-10, mental and behavioral disorders, as determined and codified by the World Health Organization. So Russia has not made this list. The World Health Organization has made a list of mental and behavioral disorders, definitions thereof, and that is what Russia is touting as the true list of disorders you cannot have. Now, it says specifically that just being gay, transgendered, bisexual, lesbian, whatever you LGBTQIAP by itself is not a mental disorder. It says it specifically in the list that this law refers to. However, they do have a number of caveats where you can be severely depressed as you're going through a transgender a gender reassignment transformation. And that's where all of these different mental disorders are codified. You can have a severe gambling addiction, and that can bring on other mental traits that would make you ineligible to operate a motor vehicle if diagnosed by a professional. So in no way does this law say if you're trans or gay or lesbian, you cannot have a driver's license. It says if you have a mental disorder, and it shows the ICD-10 from the World Health Organization, which lists a lot of things, not just this, then you can be deemed ineligible. And this has now been turned around without anyone that I've seen yet in mainstream say that this is actually a list from the World Health Organization, and that is where the mental disorders is coming from. So even the BBC is just writing down, oh, you can't be gay.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
I'm stunned.
I am
that
stunned.
We'd be lying about Russia and its motives.
I am stunned. For once, I am stunned. It's the previous thing that Brian the Gay Crusader did with the white paper on really delving into the law about the promotion of alternative lifestyles was a lot more complicated. This is simple. It says it right there. And by the way, we may use the same standards for certain mental health disorders and qualifications. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we use as the standard, but the World Health Organization, that's kind of the global standard. And they're using that. They're referring to it in their law. And now everyone's, Putin hates trannies, man. Yeah. Go look at Joe Engo's Facebook. Yeah,
I don't have
Facebook, right? New law includes.
Joe was all bent out of shape about this.
Of course.
Why don't people just listen to our show so they get the facts instead of being pushed around by the media using you? The media uses you.
It's called abuse. It's called abuse. Abuse. It's not just use.
Abuses and uses.
It's abuse.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
It's abuse. And it's abuse of my gay and lesbian brothers and sisters and my trans friends. It's just lame. And it should be, you should be outraged. Seriously outraged. And someone needs to call these people to atone.
Nobody's outraged.
No, I know. Well, hey, I said it on a podcast. I'm done. My moral self-licensing.
You're good to go.
I'm good to, Who needs any more? I did it. I said it. I schwacked the nose.
Well, since we're on the topic of Europe, let's go back to Germany.
Yes.
And really, Germany is going to sacrifice, of course, this is us again. I think we're trying to ruin them in some funny way.
Well, if you ruin them, you ruin the euro. We rule. Yeah, makes sense, yeah.
Everything's working out, it looks like. So we have a number of things going on, but a lot of it has to do with nuclear energy and just energy in general.
Die Energiewende von der Deutsche.
No. And Germany apparently has a lot of energy problems because the country is apparently run by, I don't know, idealists or green nutballs.
Can I give can I have a backgrounder? Backgrounder on this is the Energiewende after the 2012 Fukushima Daiichi accident. Germany said, we are going to shut down all of our nuclear power. We're going all renewables, wind, solar, etc. And now the manufacturing in Germany is dying because of the cost of energy, because it's just so incredibly expensive. Half of it's being subsidized, and they want to turn it back because it's killing the country.
Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Let's play Energy Problems 1.
This is the most comprehensive climate protection package that the German government has ever presented.
After saying no to nuclear power by 2022, Germany is now aiming to go even more green by getting ready to say goodbye to coal as well, as part of the ambitious plan to cut CO2 emissions by 40% to 1990 levels.
About 45% of power generated in Germany still comes from coal, and as the government aims to reduce this dependency, the question isn't only about what to substitute it with, but perhaps even more importantly, how much it will cost in a country where energy bills are already among the highest in Europe.
Indeed, German consumers have already spent an extra 106 billion euros since 2000 to cover cleaner energy initiatives via a charge added to their bills. Germany is Europe's industrial powerhouse with the biggest appetite for energy on the continent. The government's ultimate goal is to switch to renewable sources like wind, solar, and biomass, currently generating around a quarter of the country's needs. But skeptics warn, no matter how green they may want to go, a fossil fuel backup is vital to keep industries working.
Yeah. Yeah, it's idealism, yes, agree.
Yeah, they're pushing them in this direction, and they're all getting sucked down the hole. A lot of investments now from the big industrialists in Germany are taking place here. In fact, BASF, and I think one of these reports mentions it, is opening up, dropping $3 billion in America.
Because we're not America.
In America, because we can get, because the energy to run their factories, their
too expensive.
Company,
too expensive.
It's cheapest in the United States, so we're getting a lot of foreign. This is why the stock market, by the way, people I don't understand why the stock market's going up. This is part of it. Mm-hmm. We're scamming everybody, and we're largely behind pushing a lot of this stuff. Yeah. In fact, I was listening to some C-SPAN. There was this idiot, and I want to talk about the hypocrisy, and I want to mention to people, you'll notice that the United States always signs on to like Kyoto. Yeah, we'll do it. Then we never ratify. Do it.
We never ratify. Never.
We never ratify. Well, it's because of the Republicans. Yeah. It's always something. And then when I heard and they blame the Republicans fine, just don't do it. We'll take the blame.
Yeah.
We hear these phonies like Bernie Sanders go off against. What we should really be looking at is nuke power, of course. But listen to Bernie Sanders, and I have a comment about this. This is the Bernie Sanders clip before we go back to Germany.
Whether within his definition of the kind of energy system on point 4, that he hopes to transform our country to, whether that includes nuclear power, which today produces 60% of our carbon-free electricity.
No.
Senator Sanders?
I have serious concerns about nuclear power. Find it hard to understand how people want new nuclear power plants when they will be the most expensive form of new electricity production in the country, far more expensive than wind and solar. And also wanting new nuclear power plants at a time when we don't know how to get rid of the very substantial waste that we have right now. So to answer my friend Senator Alexander, my hope is that over a period of time we will phase out nuclear electricity and power electricity in this country.
Don't vote that guy back in. Oh, what a douchebag. Hold on, let me douchebag that guy.
Douchebag. Well, I think it's just bullcrap anyway.
I just want to say one thing. The new reactors can, in fact, take the existing waste and use it.
Yes, we know. We keep up with this, but Sanders is a phony. And so I got to this thinking because this guy Whitehouse from Rhode Island.
I'm going to shut up. I just want anyone who thinks that they are in tech, okay? Anyone who does a tech show, tech this, tech that, ladies, if you're doing tech, you need to understand the technology of the new nuclear reactors. Otherwise, you are not in tech. You are full of crap.
All these guys are talking about is tech from the 50s.
Yeah.
This has changed. We're talking about 50 years of research. It's not the same as it used to be. But so this guy Whitehouse, who I'm always complaining about because he's in these, he won't be the head of anything anymore as a Democrat, but he's always talking about, we've got to get renewables. We got to do this. The tides are going up, the global warming and all the rest. Yeah. Somebody, one of our producers in the D.C. area went and did some research and found out that most of his investments are in old-fashioned energy.
Of course.
Oil.
Of course.
But they talk a big game. So this is going, but we're not over. We're not as an entire society suckered by the bullshit. We tend to that's why we don't sign these agreements. We oh yeah, we'll show up at Kyoto and we'll show up at these various conferences, whatever they're called, that they have every year in some place or other. They had one in Copenhagen. And they had one.
The COP, the COP.
The COP stuff. Yeah. We show up and then we, whatever you say. Yeah. Meanwhile, these other boneheads like Germany seem to take this stuff in hook, line, and sinker because of the greenies actually being taken seriously.
It's greed, John, because in Europe, certainly in the Netherlands, I saw it. I know how it works. I actually once had to move a power windmill, at great expense for the heliport in Amsterdam. And then I found out these are all little LLCs or BVs in that case. And their share structure is owned by, amongst other people, former politicians, current politicians, other little LLCs that are owned by politicians because it's subsidized. It's a license to print money, and it's just stealing from the people. Same in Germany.
So let's play German energy number 2.
Germany needs a certain base load of electricity. That's a load which has to be always day and night, 24 hours per day, 7 days per week available. And this base load is about 40% of our total electricity demand. So this base load, it's impossible to provide this by wind and sun.
Substituting coal with natural gas is another option, but that would also mean a bigger dependency on energy imports and, once again, more figures on those costly energy bills.
The private consumer has to pay the bill in contradiction to the big companies who get these exceptions, or they just leave the country and going to North America, where the energy prices due to the unconventional gas and the oil sands is quite cheap.
Couldn't really hear the end there. It was a little tough.
Well, he said that these companies are all packing up and going to North America.
Yeah.
The United States and Canada mostly, where the energy price is cheap. That's what we've done. We've created this situation. I mean, we always try to tax it and screw the public, but compared to what you pay, and this has been the case since, 50 years or more, where gasoline, for example, is discouraged. Its use is discouraged in most of Europe, and it's extremely expensive because of the taxes. Oh. If it's not one thing, it's another over there. Well, let's play part 3, and then I can wrap this.
BASF, one of the biggest chemicals producers in the world, has already invested over $5 billion into facilities in the U.S. Some analysts warn unless Europe stops lagging in energy production and the price gap remains wide, we may see a chain reaction of more investment to American shores. And frankly, it's unlikely that saying no to both nuclear energy and coal will help keep this money, at least, on German soil.
Mm-hmm. No, don't count on it. Don't count on it. Did I talk about Iran and the Azerbaijan pipeline on the last show? I was out of it.
I don't remember. You might have.
Yeah, I've always been trying to figure out why are we cozying up to Iran, and why are we trying to get them all involved? And I don't know. I think I might have talked about it. It doesn't matter. I'll just want to reiterate quickly.
Talk about it again.
Yeah, that Iran is now joining the EU gas race. They want to, and this is kind of the funny thing, because the whole Syria issue started over a choice of pipelines. The West and the Western oil companies wanted Qatar up north through Syria, Homs, Aleppo, all those towns that we called months before anything happened, into Turkey, or off to the left there into the Mediterranean, into Italy or Greece or Cyprus. And that's the pipe, but really through Turkey. That's the pipeline that was intended to happen. The Arabia, what are they calling it? It's the Iran, Iraq, Syria pipeline. That's the one that we had to stop. And in a strange twist of fate, maybe it was Plan B, or maybe it was the idea all along. It seems that pipeline, and certainly if ISIS can protect it for us, may actually come into play, as Azerbaijan will be pumping their gas through Iran, and then they want to complete the pipeline. And there's a number of options for the pipeline. It can be the Persian pipeline is what we would call that one. There's also the Southern Gas Corridor, which is a U.S., British, French initiative. Now I understand why we're trying to make friends with Iran, because we want to bring them back into the fold under our complete control, of course. And I'm pretty sure that the nuclear thing is really to slow them down, to say, hey, man, don't get so popular with your nuclear energy here. You're going to make that stuff complicated. We got to push that back. We just want the gas to flow. But there's interesting new reports coming in about Iran entering the gas sector and really wanting to sell their gas, as well as from Azerbaijan, which we own. That's Hillary Clinton's. That's where we had the Eurovision Song Contest, Baku. This is we own a lot of that. So they're coming into the fold, and I find that, of course, that's fascinating. Along with this, let me see. We have an interesting speech from Elizabeth Warren, and completely misinterpreted by everybody in the mainstream, of course, which is why you listen to this show, this podcast. As the House, now filled with Republicans who have the majority, passed a bill that would allow for the construction of this final little itty-bitty piece of the Keystone XL pipeline. And we know this thing is already running. This is a little piece, and it's really the only reason why this is being debated is Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, big Democrat supporters. It is huge for them. Their train running the oil in and out of Canada, and that cannot be disturbed. It's a bonanza for those guys. Really, truly is. They're shut. They don't even want. Farmers can't even get a freight train, a car to move their stuff anymore. So Elizabeth Warren...
Yeah, no, that is actually a huge problem for the American farmers.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to mention that since you brought this up, Buffett has come out publicly in support of the pipeline, which is bullcrap. This is typical of these guys. They say one thing.
Liars.
And they work on making sure it doesn't happen.
So when you hear Elizabeth Warren with her allegations... And by the way, the respect that she's getting for this is, John, you called it early on. She's a real contender with this. And I believe she's a contender because she has Bill Gates and Warren Buffett in her pocket based upon this 2-minute speech.
Senator Warren.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. And also, congratulations.
Let me just blow you.
On the new post. I'm very much looking forward to working with you on energy issues.
Like when I'm president.
And with our ranking member, Cantwell. We've heard a lot about today about some of the problems with the legislative proposal.
And by the way, just listen to this and think of the O-bots. They'll be like, yes, she's so right. Screw those Republicans. Horrible people that's rotten to the core.
To force the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. My question is simpler. I want to know why the pipeline is the very first #1 item on the agenda in this new Congress. Is this about jobs? The number of jobs the pipeline will create is disputed, but most estimates put it at a few thousand or less. What if we focused on highways instead of pipelines? We urgently need to pass a permanent highway bill.
Hey, John, there's your pothole bill. She's
a good one.
Yeah, she's hitting all the points.
The American Association.
But the way, just stop it for a second. I just want to point out that Elizabeth Warren, who I follow closely because I'm convinced she's going to do something drastic, like run, has always talked a big game. Always. She's always talked a big, the consumer protection. Consumer, as soon as I get in office, we're going to fix consumer protection.
Well,
she doesn't do anything. She is a biggest phony, big talker. Great talker, gets everybody all worked up and doesn't do anything.
Correct, because we've read the scammy notes that I've received here at home. Capital One and all these guys. It's all still small print, scammy, and you get screwed. So as far as I know, nothing really happened.
No, nothing.
Of state highway and transportation officials says it would create 8 million jobs.
Yeah, but she's now just saying, if we had a highway and road bill or bridge and tunnel, It doesn't say how much that would cost or where that was coming. That's just, rhetoric, I guess.
That's just talk.
Talk, yeah.
Over the next 4 years.
And by the way, I'm all for it. I mean, let's print up a whole bunch of money and put 8 million people to work. Yeah, I'm good to go, but just shut up and do it.
These roads around here are horrible. Yeah. They're worse than L.A.
There it is. There it is.
If we could pass a highway bill, we could put people to work in good jobs and fix crumbling roads and bridges. So is the pipeline about lowering America's energy costs? Evidently not. Even its supporters admit that much of the oil in the pipeline would be exported for use outside the United States. So it's not about jobs. It's not about energy. Why is this bill so urgent?
Let me ask you the question. Why do you think it's urgent for the Republicans to pass it?
Well, I would think it was true politics would be to screw over Buffett and Gates.
That's what I think.
Or get some of these trains to be pulling, to lower the cost of food, because you have to pay a premium now to get a car to put some wheat in it, because they're using these things for oil to such an extreme. That's all of them happening in the Midwest. That's the problem.
Weed? We're going to have a weed shortage?
Weed, yeah, weed.
Oh.
The wheat.
Time to panic. Oh, wheat.
Or should it's pronounced wheat.
Wheat, yes. Well, I think if it's true politics, I think they would only be doing this to blackmail Buffett to get some campaign donations.
That would be part of it.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the case is,
let's continue with
she's full of crap.
The answer is money and power. The pipeline might not do much for the American people, but it is worth a whole lot to the Canadian oil industry.
Woo!
According to an analysis,
who, by the way, supply most of our oil, which nobody.
Yeah, they're the number one supplier of America.
That's America, our foreign oil supplier.
By Politico since 2009.
Hey, let me ask you another question. Since when did Politico become like a reference point?
Because everything else has become so lame that it just did by default. I don't know that it knows anything more than the New York Times.
Well, that's my point. It used to be, the New York Times, or maybe the Wall Street Journal, maybe Le Monde,
or some institute, perhaps. Now research operation.
Now it's just Politico, and everyone goes, "Oh well, Politico. Oh well, Politico.
Yeah.
Politico. Is the Politico making money? Isn't that one of those things that's just funded out of some rich guy's pocket?
Yes, I think it's making money.
Really?
I have no idea.
In oil industry. According to an analysis by Politico, since 2009, TransCanada has spent almost $7 million in lobbying expenses related to Keystone. So much money industry-wide is being spent that Burdett Loomis, a political science professor at the University of Kansas, previously described the Keystone XL bill as, quote, a lobbyist support act. And now TransCanada wants what they paid for. Who does this new Republican Congress work for? Foreign oil companies or the American people? Today, their first priority is to advance a pipeline that means a whole lot to an army of well-paid lobbyists and a whole lot to a giant foreign oil company. But we know that this pipeline runs terrible environmental risks, and it just won't do much to help the American people. I didn't come here to do favors for TransCanada. Republican leaders may disagree, but I'll be voting no on this.
Right.
Oh, it's the Republicans.
Yeah, Republicans. And
by the way,
there's 2 million miles of pipeline in America.
TransCanada spent $7 million on lobbying. That's a spit in the bucket. I can't imagine what I'm looking for it, but I can't find it. Well, here's just a few of these things are like 10, in the billions for highway lobbying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. It's much bigger.
So this bullcrap, this argument is specious.
Yes.
They're spending $7 million and they're buying our votes. They're not spending enough.
Yeah, I know. And I think she's being
a phony.
Well, and she's probably being supported by Buffett and Gates.
I'm sure she's going to be.
With that kind of talk.
No, she's definitely a winner.
Never ever. I think we're the only people that talk about Gates owning most of the Canadian Railway. It's a huge shareholder, and Buffett owns Burlington Northern. He owns
it outright.
Yeah.
Not a shareholder in that case.
It's his little toy train.
The railroad.
It's his toy train set. I know. It's great.
He must have a private car that is dynamite.
Oh, a private rail car? Yeah, that must be nice. I would love one of those.
Yeah, they're cool, I have to say.
Yeah, that is the ultimate.
I'm part of a consortium and own part of one. There's a whole club of these people.
After the jet and all that, now you got to have that.
Jet.
Yeah. Well, he owns NetJets. That's his.
He does?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. NetJets. Mm-hmm. Amidst all of the everything that's been going on, we see CISPA being revived, and I think if they really introduce the bill, I think it'll pass this time.
Oh, really? The one that all the techies were all against?
Yeah, this is...
change your icon.
Yep. Dutch Ruppersberger. Well, it wasn't just changing your icon. You'll recall Wikipedia went dark. Actually was dark, like not accessible, I think. Is that not true? There were a couple places that just... Maybe Craigslist? I doubt that'll happen again.
No, you can't. They give up. Oh, we did that already.
So
we stopped it. We stopped it.
Yeah. This is Dutch Ruppersberger, the old coot.
That guy's another one.
Another one needs to be voted out. And he, of course, is referring to... it's cyber sharing. That's really what the CISPA deal was about. I'm going to bring it back up. If they show... I don't know if it's going to be a revamped version or exactly the same version. He says he's putting the bill in. He's doing it himself, reintroducing the bill. And he bases that on the Sony hack attack. Where hackers hacked.
What would this bill have to do with Sony?
Nothing. But it's about... The bill is about share... It's not SOPA. It's CISPA. It's about,
this is that bull crap where they want everybody all in. They've been promoting this with the Sony. Oh, if you guys are working with us, this wouldn't happen.
Yes.
You guys working with us.
Yep.
Share your data.
Yep. That's it.
But let our guys get into the back end of your machines there, and you wouldn't have this problem because we'd be able to stop it. Sure you would.
And the admiral there over at the NSA, Michael Rogers, is saying, the FBI, we did all that work for them. We partner. When they ask us, for our technical ability, we specifically did that. We provide our technical expertise to prove that it is North Korea, NK. We're part of a broad interagency effort. Yes, we're part of that. We do that. That's how we do it. That's how we roll.
All right, clip.
No, I wish.
Oh.
No, I know. But these guys are smart. I'm like, dude, let's not give those no agenda a-holes more content. No, I don't have a clip of that, unfortunately.
Well, I do have a clip. It's just you brought the FBI up again. Let's play. This is a clip from RT. Mm-hmm. Did a lot of RT work this week.
That's all right.
And this is their rundown of the FBI collecting calls.
Welcome back. The FBI says it doesn't need permission to listen in on cell phone conversations in public places. A report claims the agency and other law enforcement bodies are eavesdropping on calls using light aircraft circling cities. Right. The system was reportedly designed to pinpoint criminals, but it's unknown how many innocent people's private chats are being listened to. Marina Portnaya explains.
We talked about this on Thursday, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I just like the Russian report.
No, we'll do the report.
The U.S. has more than 325 million mobile phones in use. And if they're being used in public spaces, the FBI says it doesn't need to obtain search warrants before scooping up private phone calls and text messages with interception devices. According to the Wall Street Journal, the federal government is using devices that mimic cell phone towers to dragnet data from thousands of phones while hunting for a suspect. The devices, known as stingrays or dirt boxes, attached to planes and cars, tricking cell phones into reporting their unique registration information. The sheer amount of data that can be pulled is raising concerns.
There's no reason to suck up 10,000 innocent people. I mean, it's bad enough that they're doing
warrantless interception of one person's cell phone calls. What the FBI is apparently doing, if that report is correct, is they are just throwing out electronic dragnet, and everybody within reach of their fake cell tower, their Stingray, their dirt box, whatever the slang du jour for it is, they're sucking up everyone's phone calls.
Sources tell the Wall Street Journal that the fake cell tower devices reportedly determine which phones belong to suspects and eventually lets go of the private data belonging to innocent citizens. Problem is, it's not clear what steps are taken to ensure citizens' private data.
Good news on this front, and I'm not sure if the Stingray is different from the dirt box, if the DRT is the dirt box, but we have a producer who has used a DRT in the field, and he is going to be sending me details on exactly what it does.
Okay, good.
So that
now, of course, I have to remind everybody that the reason for all this is not to protect anyone against terrorism. It's to create a web of blackmail.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned.
Where it starts. Yes, where it starts.
To get people in Congress. It's not about you necessarily, the person on the street. It's not about you or Adam, me. It's about Congress or people that have voting power to blackmail them so they get their way, so they get more money.
And I don't think people even realize that is, or even, it doesn't even cross people's minds.
It's such the logical thing to do.
I know.
It's the most logical thing you can imagine. I mean, that's what you want to get all this. And by the way, and if people don't realize this, the FBI is a blackmailing operation from years ago during the Hoover.
Day one. That's what they do.
He was keeping his secret records and that's how the guy stayed. That's why in fact, the blackmail aspect of the FBI is why they passed a law saying you couldn't be FBI director.
More than 10 years.
More than 10 years, you had to leave. You had to leave, even though they extended it with the last guy.
Yeah. Well, he had all the
guy will become. He could become, if he wanted to, he could become, run the whole country with blackmail. I mean, this is the reason for that law was the blackmail. But no, they're good guys. They help us solve crimes.
Now let's look at the current director of the FBI, James Comey, and why it might be interesting to have this capability of blackmail. He comes from big ass business. Big ass business. Besides being general counsel, vice president of Lockheed Martin, he was on the board of HSBC, a bank that was very good at laundering hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right, a massive corrupt bank.
Massive. He was a member of Bridgewater Associates, investment management firm, very important financial firm, very important firm. And he was actually in HSBC during all of these scandals of the LIBOR and the Euribor. So this guy you cannot just say, oh, here he comes. He's a lawyer, of course. This is a perfect guy for the FBI. Yeah. With a blackmailing operation going on. And not just that, insider information. And if anybody thinks that that's not happening, well, fine.
Oh, yeah. If I was running this thing and I just had, warrant, I could now just wiretap anybody because it does the blackmailed Supreme Court or whoever said, yeah, no, you don't need a warrant to do any of this stuff. If it's a cell phone and you're in public, well, yeah. What if you're in a room by yourself because you want to be private? No. We get it all. We grab it all. The first thing I'd do is I'd be right on John Doerr's phone.
Hell yeah. What deal is he doing?
On all the Kleiner Perkins phones, listening to what deals they were doing to see if there was an M&A opportunity that I could invest in.
Yes. How about the Maverick? What's his name? Mavericks guy.
I don't know. There's a lot of these.
The Shark Tank guy, that guy.
Cuban?
Yeah. He's got all
well, Cuban's not a wheeler dealer like these others. There's wheeler dealers out there. I mean, Carl Icahn, that's one of the guys.
There's a good one.
I'd be all over that guy.
I want to be
whatever he was talking about. It would be. I'd want it to be transcribed and on my desk in the morning.
I want Taylor Swift's photos. Oh, I'm sorry. And I'll make this personal so everybody understands how this really works. I believe there are people in our audience who have either for your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, maybe your kids. You have gone onto the computer checked out their Facebook. Then whether you had the password or not, maybe it was still logged in. Maybe you looked at some history in the browser. What is he or she doing? And that's human nature. It's human nature to do this. And that's why it goes all the way to the top. And when there's big bucks involved, it gets more interesting. I think everyone can understand that. You're drawn to, oh man, I really need to look at what could be going on.
And imagine if you're like one of the FBI, we're going to use that as our example, even though I would say these other agencies do the same thing, but you're working in Silicon Valley and you're hanging out trying to do some work, and these douchebags, and you meet these guys, they are the dumbest douchebags ever. They happen to be in the right business, in the right place, in the right time, and for some reason...
Oh, they don't understand at all, no.
Many of them are worth billions. And you look at this guy, why is this guy... I met this guy, I've talked to him, he's an idiot. Why am I working for the government? So you at some point you start to think about, well, how can I get a piece of the pie?
Right.
And you get involved in the blackmail. It's a way to go. Or spying and listening to people, seeing there's a deal you can do, a stock pick.
Yeah.
I think stock picks are probably, for the average guys, more important than the blackmail. The blackmail is only going to be targeting legislative people. So you get your votes, you get your money, you get your allocation.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're going to vote against it. Hey, there's some really cool pictures of you with this hooker.
And it's always hookers. Why, if we could just stop being so uptight about hookers, then there wouldn't be blackmail. It's always sex that's a blackmail. Isn't that strange?
Yeah, well, it's not that strange because there's a lot of married couples, a lot of women, a lot of men that don't like their spouse.
No,
they're hanging out with hookers all the time. They just don't like it. They say, I'm sick of you hanging out with hookers. I'm getting divorced. I'm taking half of everything.
I'm trying to say something.
Oh, geez, I'm losing half of everything. Thanks, guys.
I'm trying to say something different. It's like that is the big moral crime where no one is saying, hey, that guy's killing people with drones and innocent civilians.
Oh, yeah, but you're right on that.
It's like that's never that's never the big moral crime.
No.
What you screwed a hooker? Which, by the way, stimulates the economy as it is being counted towards GDP in all of the EU member states. So you're actually being very patriotic.
And while discussing this sort of thing where you're, the spying and blackmailing and all the rest, a lot of this stuff, of course, a lot of people bring it on themselves. And I thought the funniest story this week was this one, which is the ISIS guy tweeting away like crazy and leaving his geolocation information in the tweets.
That he's in Washington, D.C.?
Well, no, this guy was apparently floating. It is a good story. Play this tweeting ISIS dummy.
Oh, okay. I had a different one.
Security agencies worldwide are busy tracking down foreign recruits traveling to join jihadists in Iraq and Syria, but one Islamist has unwittingly made their job easier. A New Zealander believed to be fighting with Islamic State has been broadcasting his whereabouts by geographically tagging his tweets. Well, Mark Taylor made it possible for a Canadian intelligence group to track the routes he travelled late last year. Geotags on his tweets revealed he was fighting in Kaffa Roma in October. He then retreated to the group's stronghold of Al-Tabqa in early December. After realising his blunder, Taylor deleted all of his tweets, but it was too little too late. And as if that wasn't bad enough for him, in one Twitter photo update, he revealed the face of another fighter in the background.
Yeah, there was another guy, another Islamist, jihadi thing. This is maybe 2 weeks ago. And the tweet location showed up as Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
it's funny.
A phony.
But even this stuff by itself, do you think that it's not possible for the FBI to subpoena the tweeters at Twitter and to get, and at least trace back to the origin of the IP? Maybe it's this proxy, but it's like this, all of this social media stuff.
Hose already.
Yeah, exactly. All this social media, the expertise of ISIS is bull crap. Yeah, they are, because Hillary Clinton trained them personally. They're called techno experts in her book.
Well, I think it's also I think they call them these experts in you take a group, this is the sociology of it. You tell somebody they're dumb and everyone tells them they're dumb, they start acting pretty dumb. If you start telling these guys that they're the experts, social media experts, they start believing it. And so they end up doing a lot of dumb shit on social media by giving their positions away because they don't really understand any of the mechanisms. They don't understand about geotagging. I mean, who does? And so they leave all these things on, and they like to take pictures because of these social media. I think they've been encouraged to use social media, not that they're actually experts in any way, for this particular reason. It's because they're dumb. Well, just a giveaway.
You know how that encouragement happens, don't you?
Another like, fan, or share, so we need another post to show up everywhere.
There it is.
I hope as we scatter that we never forget.
Let's get
social media. I got so
I could listen to that whole song,
I got an email.
I love that song.
An email from Tristan. My 12-year-old son was in the car with me listening to the latest episode. He says, stop, back it up. What was that song thing? I explain about the song, move on, thinking nothing of it. Get home, next thing, I hear the whole bloody thing blaring out of his room. I go in, he's on his bed, almost in tears, cracking up, can't stop laughing. He loves it. Yeah, of course. It's funny.
Well, actually, when you see the actual YouTube video, it's like... It's a jaw dropper insofar as humor, and then of course the jerk that did it says, "Oh no, it was a parody. We were just trying to
get something to go viral to show you how it works."
Yeah, to show you how it works.
Right.
Yeah, right. It's impossible to. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, I love it. I'm very happy. I'm very happy it exists. And then
somebody complained to me on one of the emails. You must have got it. One of our producers said, I was sick and tired of that ISIS song, which I had it running through my brain constantly. You should play that one too. And then you start playing this. Now I can't. I got rid of ISIS. Now I can't stop hearing this thing.
Well, let's play this one for a second. And then we had ISIS. You mean this one?
The James Brown one.
Wait, hold on. The James Brown one. Right. Yeah. Okay, hold on a second. What happened here? Sorry.
Sigh.
Yeah. Well, it's been. I'm really working on fixing the problems I've been having, and it's been good so far on the show, I think. Except for this one little glitch, is what we call it.
Glitch.
Yes, it was a glitch. Okay, here we go.
ISIS. We will follow them to the gates of hell. ISIS. I feel good.
Man, that's good. The jingles are what make it.
Great little ditty.
Yeah,
who did that?
I don't know. Maybe it says it here.
It's one of our better ones.
Yeah, but there's.
We have a lot of good. If we just strung together all the songs and little G-jaws,
we could release an album on iTunes. Not a bad idea, actually, now that I think about it. However, we prefer our traditional value for value method.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, oh, No Agenda in the morning.
We do have a few people to thank for the show 86, that sent something. Chuck Bennett is at the top of the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of Boise. This is Chuck Bennett in Boise. Is Adam going to this is I'm not going to read all these, but I'm going to read this one because I think you have talked about this to an extreme already. Is Adam going to tell us what audio filters he's using? I think it's been asked before, but I can't find where it was answered.
No, I have not done that, but I need a little bit of time.
He doesn't really use audio filters. He uses a string of software.
Yeah. Well, it's audio filters. Yeah, it's more
software
than that.
Audio filters that are classics, and they're just stacked.
Yes, and the idea
I think you
is
have talked about it.
Because
we talked about the Neve. Whatever.
The idea is to release how I did it, how I put it together, what we use, including the files. Should you want to replicate the system? That's the idea. It's one of those projects, it's like your educational special. which is now 6 years in the making.
I got it ready to go.
And it's about a 97% of scientists agree article that we're co-authoring.
Yeah, that's coming.
Yeah. Someone else is going to do it,
But I think somebody did. Although not as good as we could. Baron Sander Hochsbergen in Zaandam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. He has a question here.
This is an off-show note, he says. He wants to be a baron of a region in Europe. Like the Baron of the Alps.
Fine.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, Alps are good. Alps are good.
I
need to protect the Edelweiss.
And you can be anywhere in there because you're under the auspices of the Grand Duke.
The Edelweiss.
And then you have subsections. Travis Benelli in Escondido, California, $111.15, which is a new thing we offered for 11.
Oh, yes. This was in the newsletter.
Yeah, today's 111.15.
Yeah, nice.
And he wants some karma, so I'll put that at the end.
Yep.
Brian Pollock in Florissant, Missouri, 111.15. Sir Sam Lung, Baron, I think, in Toronto, Ontario, $111.15. He said the picture of the panda torture in the newsletter was just too much and compelled me to donate.
He's also about finished reading Pot Shards. He says the book is truly excellent. That's my uncle Don Gregg's book. Insightful, yes. Yep.
Baron Thomas Nussbaum in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
He has something about...
Damn you, ants!
$111.15. Yes, the ants, my ants. Jeremy, they're still around, but it's not as bad. Jeremy Johnson, JJ. You can call me JJ. You can call me, but don't call me Johnson, Jeremy. Nobody will get that joke. $111.15 in Port Angeles, Washington, right down the street from me. Yeah. Jason Daniels, Dallas, Texas, $111.15. Daryl Coquillet, I'm sure that's what it is, in Cortland, Illinois. Same, 1115. And Sir Jason Fortune in Geneva, Illinois, also $111.15. And Christopher Dolan in Berlin, Connecticut. By the way, it's Sir Jason, Knight of the Fox Valley. Jason Daniels, $111.11 in Dallas, Texas.
Hey,
John Knowles
wait a minute, hold on a second. He comes in twice.
Oh, maybe he did.
So maybe he should be associate executive producer, unless he doesn't want that because he split it up.
No. I think we should give it to him whether he wants it or not.
All right, remind me.
Jason Daniels, 111.11. Yeah. John Knowles in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 111.11. Mark Roos, 111 flat in Amsterdam, California. He says he's been listening for over a year and he doesn't really need a jingle, but he approached his science already, if possible. Try to remember to put that at the end. John Glover in Zillah, Washington, 109.97. $100 because he was a boner. $9.97 is for John. Spend on a book I wrote, Drone University, on Amazon. It would help you build your own professional drone from scratch. Danny Baker, Morristown, Tennessee, $100. Now we have an upcoming he's upgrading. Sir D.H. Slammer. He's completing his baronet.
Now he had a question here. He wanted us to do something, which I don't know. You want to do this? He has like a script.
I don't know. What does he say?
He says, "Thank you for your courage. I'm saving an appropriate donation. Some with the request that you and Buzzkill read a voicemail greeting script during the show warm up. Oh, the warm up. So as not to take time during the normally distributed portion of the show."
All right, we'll do it tomorrow on the Thursday show.
Oh, let me put that in here.
Make a note because we're going to forget. Yeah. Let me look at.
I'm making a note.
Yeah, that way we can do a couple of takes. Couple of safeties.
I know where to put this. Where I'll remember. Somewhere I'll see it. Yeah.
Anyway, it's Sir Dave Samuel, 81.99. Brian Williams, Streamwood, Illinois, 73.73.
Yeah, hold on. I can only do one thing at a time. I'm putting in his script.
Okay, I can do it. Beep, 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 beep. Brian Churchill, Fenton, Michigan, 7044. Joss Van Veldoven, In Eindhoven.
Hold on. Let me go to the spreadsheet. Feldhoven. And he has
Eindhoven.
And what does he say here?
6969.
He put his wife Tanya on the birthday list.
Yeah, we got her.
Yeah, she can't get to him.
It's a late shout out. She says she still can't get her American ass to sit in a circle with our friends' family.
The Dutch circle. The Dutch the Dutch birthday circle.
Don't do it.
It's the Dutch birthday circle.
Don't do it, Tanya. Don't even go shopping.
There was a picture yesterday on last night on Facebook. Mickey had her big opening in Amsterdam, and afterwards she had friends and family go, I guess to her cousin's house, and there was a picture. It was a huge circle. It was an after art show opening party, and all the Dutch were sitting in the circle.
Yeah.
It was really, really weird. Weird. I said it. That was weird.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Sir Adrian Vernoy, $60 from Hasselt.
The I and the J is pronounced as a Y or in combination with the two O's for oi, Vernoy.
Okay, I just wrote that down. You got some karma. We got.
Oh, you had a question. I donated $66 last Thursday. Asked for a karma shot for my brother John. You got so sidetracked with looking at the euro-dollar rate that you missed reading my request for karma that came with the donation. Please credit this amount plus my last donation to Benjamin Vernoy's account and hand him a shot of karma so he could sure use it right now. Okay.
Yeah, and do put that at the end.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll do you can do the bookkeeping for us.
Yeah,
that way it won't get screwed up.
It's very
Jason
important.
Payne in Spokane, Washington, 5412. Brian Sidorowitz.
Thank you, Jason, for breaking with the seed man to come over to us. Good.
Good. Sidorowitz in Hamburg, New York, 5050. Now, the following are all $50 donations, which I will read in order. Alexander McKenzie in Delta, BC. I didn't know there was such a place. Marin Kurta in Split. Ooh, that's a hot happening real estate investing town in Croatia.
Oh, really?
And it's good to hear Croatians.
How do you know that?
And because a friend of mine was buying property in Croatia, and he mentioned it, talked about it, and I looked it up, and there it was. Split's a big it's a happening place.
Huh.
If I was going to live in Croatia, Dubrovnik has got to be the place you want to live. What a great place. Anyone who's traveling in that area, go there. Antonio McMullen, $50, parts unknown. Paul Vella, Milton Keynes, Buckinghamshire.
Buckinghamshire. Buckinghamshire.
50. Ben Hutton in Manchester, somewhere. UK. Manchester, UK, 50. We have to do this. Call him out as a douchebag. He wants to be douchebagged.
He wants to be douchebagged?
Yeah, that's what he says. Douchebag.
All right. Just title of shame.
David Pete is gonna cost him to be undouchebag.
All right.
David Pete in Aubrey, Texas, right up the street from you, 50. And finally, we have a short list today, to say the least. Angela Castaneda in Henderson, Nevada.
Yeah. Angela is
what I say.
Yeah, Angela. That's right.
Angela.
She's our friend
Vegas,
Angela.
essentially, but she's in Henderson, which is a smarter place to live.
Yeah.
And that concludes our show 686 producers. And we want to remind people to go to Dvorak.org/NA for show 687. So we have 678 in the next numbers, 687, 678. So it's important. It's a lucky number.
It's not in the right order.
We're headed to show 700, people.
Yeah. Now, if you're going to Vegas, Angela's the one you want to hook up with for sure.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you, everyone who came in with amounts under $50, mainly for anonymity reasons, but also you're on one of our programs. And these programs pay off. We keep getting more and more people now after months, or in some cases, some years, are achieving the status of knighthood, damehood.
Finally catching up to them.
Yeah. And that makes me happy. It means that people have been with us for a long time. And I guess we're not boring then in that case. This is good.
We're not boring.
No, that's what I mean. It's like people.
I know boring.
Yeah?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Dvorak.org/NA.
We had a long karma list of things that we need to do, so let me do that right now.
Boom shakalaka. Boom shakalaka.
Oh my God, that is amazing! Shut up already. It's science.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma. That would be amazing.
And Brian Churchill says happy birthday to his wonderful girlfriend Susie, turning 33 tomorrow on the 12th. And Jos van Veldhoven says happy birthday to his wife Tanya. And it says here celebrating August 1st. Must have missed something somewhere. I've got to check that out and see if I can understand what's going on there. At any rate, happy birthday from all your friends here at the best podcast in the universe.
He said it was belated.
Oh, okay. Well, or early at this point.
Well, it is both, actually, now that you mention it.
Now, we have, this was already in there, I guess, Baronet Sir Siswell of the Upper Horseshoe. We have him. That was from last week. I guess that carried over somehow. But then we have Sir D.H. Slammer, and what was his, he became a baronet?
I think so.
What he wanted,
and he wants to pick some area, I guess.
What was that again? The Alps?
Was that the Alps?
Let me double check. I think it was.
Well, he just wanted to know if he could. He didn't actually pick anything. It's a difference. Okay, we're talking about D.H. Slammer?
Yeah. No, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say, no. It was... No,
it was the other guy.
Okay.
No, he wants to be known the Baronet of Santa Barbara County. D.H. Slammer.
Okay. There we go. Well, that's done. The peerage will be updated. Then we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3 of Brian Williams, Kilo Charlie 9 Yankee Juliet Mike, no agenda ham there, Patricia Worthington, and Davey. If all of you could, watch out, because as you're getting up onto the podium here, whenever we draw our blades, it can get a little dangerous. All right, Brian Williams, Patricia Worthington, and Davey, you all now enter the table that is round for the knights and the dames. The No Agenda Round Table, I hereby pronouncicate thee Sir Brian, Green Knight of the Hams, and Dame Patricia of Biscayne Bay, and Sir Davy of the Sooner State. For you, we have hookers and blow, rent boys and Chardonnay, sake and sushi, root beer and pepperoni pizza, puppies and Taylor's vintage port, malted barley and hops. You want some whiskey and wet wipes? We got it for you. We also have vodka and vanilla and mutton and mead. And thank you for supporting the program. Please go to noagendanation.com/rings. Fill out your information. Eric the Shill will get right on that. And when you receive everything, which is a nice little package, including your certificate, the sealing wax, and the ring, please tweet a picture. So we have that for prosperity, and so the FBI has it. Yes. It actually goes into the Library of Congress. They have an entire... don't they have the hose?
Government.
Yes, not yet.
Record.
No, yes. Yes.
So you should definitely take a picture of the ring and the certificate and tweet it, and we'll retweet, and it will get. That means it will go even more. It'll be it's a permanent record in the Library of Congress. You'll be famous. 100,000 years from now.
Yes, that's right. Along with our peerage map. Can we submit that to the Library of Congress?
All we have to do is tweet it. You want to put something permanently into the Library of Congress?
That's true.
Anybody out there? Just tweet it.
I wonder what they're storing that on.
Probably a large system.
Okay.
I'm assuming they're storing the photos.
I don't think so. Unless it's...
I would be stunned.
Yeah,
I would be stunned if they weren't storing the photos.
Not all photos. I think maybe if you're using Twitter's photo system, but if you link to something, I don't know. Who knows?
Use Twitter's photo system. That's what I do. I just upload.
Yeah. I don't use Twitter system at all. I do it all through my to the Freedom Controller.
And I upload because that way it comes into the tweets as a photo. It comes into stream. It's got photo. They want you to put a lot of photos in. Twitter does. That way the government can track you better. They can see what you're taking pictures of, where you are. There might be some good EXIF data in there that's useful. find you if they need it.
What
that's what you want to do. Go along with the program. You won't stir up any suspicion.
I'm just wondering if they store the photos. I'm actually now you've got me looking into this.
All right. Well, you'll know by the next show.
Well, it's your question. Why don't you do some research?
I don't care. That's why.
Okay. All right. All right. What? I have another. You've been on rant mode today. What do you got?
Well, this is one that really gets me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this was going on, as a matter of fact, because we've seen specials, that sports show on HBO with Brian Gumbel, and there's all these other reports over the years about.
Speak for yourself. I don't watch that.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reports from here and there that have documented to an extreme that anyone accepting an Olympic bid for the Summer Games will more or less break their city's budget. It's a loser. You lose tons of money. You end up with abandoned stadiums. It's just bad.
Yeah, look at Greece. How'd that work out?
It's horrible. They got a bunch of abandoned stadiums and just wasted a lot of money and pretty much broke the country. So I'm listening to the local news, and this Olympics bid thing comes up. I'm saying, what are we thinking?
The Bay Area's dreams of Olympic gold were dashed today when the United States Olympic Committee picked the East Coast over the West Coast. It selected Boston as the U.S. bid city for the 2024 Olympic Games. San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. were the other cities in the running. Boston's mayor says their goal is to host a Summer Games that is innovative and walkable. Despite getting passed over, San Francisco's Olympic bid committee seemed pleased with its pitch.
We're disappointed, but you know what? It was a tremendous effort by a lot of people, brought a lot of folks in the region together, so we have no regrets.
The final selection is up to the International Olympic Committee. Boston will now be up against Rome, Berlin, Paris, Doha, Melbourne, and one of 4 potential African sites.
Who would do this?
Well,
it's a known loser.
Rio, of course, is on deck for 2016.
Oh yeah, this will break the back of the Brazilians.
Yeah,
They've already did the World Cup, and they had to build a bunch of stadiums that are unused. And this is a country that has tons of football teams, soccer to you.
Yes,
and they can't find a use for these things. China, there's stuff a lot of stuff they built for the Winter Olympics is now falling into decay.
They can always.
Nobody wants these things. These are white elephants.
Maybe no one has just thought about a great use. They can stack bodies of in Rio.
Maybe some prison internment camp, it might work.
It's not big enough unless you're stacking. Tokyo, of course, is on deck for 2020, and they had perfectly. I heard this from Mark and Astrid, our Viscount and Viscountess there in Tokyo. They had a perfectly good stadium, and there was a bid on between one crew who wanted to revamp the current stadium, which would have been the way to go. But oh no, we got to build a whole new one. Which, of course, is with the current state of Tokyo or Japan. And that's for 2020 is when they have the Summer Games. So this would potentially be for 2024 then, I guess?
Yeah.
Wow. As we say in Holland, wie dan nog leeft.
Which means?
Well, whoever's alive then.
No, there's that.
A Dutchism.
According to my cycles theory, it should be an exceptional world war going on during that period. So they should really think this in advance.
Good. I got a note from Dame Bang Bang, and I put the entire note. She did research for us on Uber in Santa Barbara, California. And I just wanted to give her the executive summary, but it's very interesting. An entire research about, I think it's between Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
And she says that actually Uber has been an incredible boon for mothers, single mothers, for good income, flexible working hours. And everything was going swimmingly well, but now the crackdown is happening. I'm hearing this everywhere. You have to have at least a 4.8 star rating, otherwise you can get quote unquote fired, let go. Everybody hates the surge pricing because the drivers just get nothing but grief from the passengers, or I'm sorry, riders. The system downtime affects the driver statistics negatively because you have to stay logged in for 50 minutes of every hour, and you have to respond to at least, I think, 90% of all calls that are pinged on your device. This, of course, is to keep people from driving for multiple services. And I think it's going to get very ugly very soon. This is not going to be... it's not going to end well with the competition.
Huh. Well, that would make nothing but sense if you think about it.
Of course.
It's the way things work.
Mm-hmm. It's the American way for sure. But the research and that she has in there and the questions and what came out of it, I thought was interesting. So look at that in the show notes, 686.noagendanotes.com. But the best way to get to everything is archive.noagendanotes.com. Remind people of that.
Okay.
Big changes with the Leviathan gas field. This is the one that we that found off the coast of Israel in the Mediterranean, which we've been running. Noble Energy, Texas firm, with Bill Clinton on their board of advisors, along with the local company, the Dvorak Group, and Israel. So it's all been developed now. Everything's good. These guys have invested, I think, how much are they? Like $6 billion.
Sounds about right.
Over a decade and a half. And now Israel's antitrust commissioner says he's going to recommend a breakup of of this partnership because you just can't have one or two companies, a little consortium there, having control over all this gas. You can't do that.
Huh.
Yeah. So screw you is the message.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And this is not going to make
It's going to make it difficult to do a lot of these joint ventures with Israel if they're going to pull that crap.
They're starting to look like Russia. That's what Russia would do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I'll keep my eye on that.
Oil, play the fracking going bust clip.
Oh, this is good. Okay.
Elsewhere, oil prices are continuing to tumble. U.S. crude fell below $50 this week, its lowest level for 5 years. Non-conventional producers are already feeling the pinch. On Friday, a shale company in Texas became the first U.S. fracking enterprise to go bankrupt. The shale business is very costly, and with declining oil prices, some of the larger drillers are cutting production. Analysts say it's proving particularly tough for small firms.
All forms of unconventional oil production now are at risk. Arctic oil, Canadian tar sands, deep offshore projects, oil fracking, anything that requires a price of $60, $70, $80, $90 a barrel of oil to break even, all of these projects are at risk. And many of the fracking projects in Texas and North Dakota are at risk because they can't survive with prices below $50, $60 a barrel. So I do think many of the smaller companies are going to go bust.
Yeah, which would be what they want. If you want smaller companies to go bust, get them out of the way, of course. Now, I'd say, how long do you think this will last, John? These prices?
I think I wouldn't be surprised if they were permanent. The natural price is 40.
Right, which I think it will go to 40.
The traditional historic price is 25.
I think 40 is the number.
It's only an anomaly that they were up to 100.
Yeah. Well, this is good then.
Well, it's good and it's back to normal, let's say, good.
No.
But it's almost as though it was a Lucy in the football thing. I mean, this is pretty much... Mm-hmm. The fracking guys, the guys get all carried away. The tar sands guys, they all get carried away. The next thing you know, they want this and they want that, and they're going crazy and they're making money.
Yeah,
because it's 100, and then they pull the football away and it's back down to 40, and you can't make a nickel.
Right.
What's the gives Saudi Arabia and those guys who, I've talked to people about this. That's bullcrap, but I heard a Saudi Arabian expert say that they can pull oil and make money out of the ground at 10.
Yeah, it's completely possible.
Yeah.
There's a report that came out that I thought was interesting. Now, of course, it's what's the name of this outfit? The Drug Policy Alliance, who would be pro-drugs, legalization of marijuana, let's put it that way. And they have a report, marijuana legalization in Colorado after 1 year, but we are 1 year, right? Retail sales, 2 years of decriminalization, and the way they calculate it. I shall read this to you. This is the executive summary. The state of Colorado has benefited from a decrease in crime rates, a decrease in traffic fatalities, an increase in tax revenue and economic output from retail marijuana sales, and an increase in jobs. It seems like a winner.
Sounds like a winner to me.
Now, I don't know.
What's the problem?
And violent crime, of course, is down for the first time in a year.
Yeah,
because despite what they will tell you on the mainstream,
Fox.
Yeah, when people smoke marijuana, they're just not really into killing people. Hey, man, I don't feel like killing anybody right now. You got any snickerdoodles? We have one or two more. Yeah, this thing about we should have talked about that in regard to the FBI. The New York Times came out with a big piece, and it's now everywhere. FBI and Justice Department now seeking charges against former General Petraeus.
Oh, yeah, we have to talk about. We should hold that and talk about it with more detail, because this is very interesting.
Set it up, because this will be something we can do on Thursday.
Yeah, what did Petraeus do that all of a sudden now they've decided to charge him with a felony? I mean, the initial thought...
I know. He wants to run for president. That's what he did.
Yeah, that's the initial thing that you would think, is he wants to run for president. This will keep him from doing it, as if he had a prayer.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that's bogus.
Well, he knows about... The thing with him is...
He knows about Benghazi.
Benghazi, right, exactly. He knows what happened.
Yes, he knows what happens. He knows the whole story. And he is just being, and I don't know, maybe he indicated to somebody that he was
here's what I think.
Write a book.
Yes, well, I think he was writing a book. If he wasn't, or if he didn't have someone doing it for him, then he's nuts, because it's free money in the bank. The advance alone should be at least $1 million for a guy like that. And I think that he was writing the book, and someone got wind of it and just, oh, no, you don't. And he should have released a book a long time ago. He did. He's got to do it quick. He's got to come out and do something quick. And it would be, can you imagine the Petraeus true story of Benghazi? And it would protect him if he did it. Because then if he gets killed, well, hey. Well, I guess it wouldn't protect him. But there would be no reason to kill him then, because the cat is out of the bag.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we'll have to discuss that a little bit. I do have a story that... Just a nice story to finish off just to continue I think thematically today we're talking about idiots a lot, from the bicyclists to the other idiots we discussed.
Yes, sir.
Big headline, The Telegraph on UK. BBC chef Tom Carriage criticized for eating a puffin. Now this guy apparently goes to Iceland. And I've been to Iceland, and anyone who's been to Iceland knows this. They eat puffin. That's pretty much their main food. They eat puffin burgers.
Explain a puffin. Explain to us a puffin.
A puffin's a very pretty little duck-like creature that's got kind of a parrot-like bill, beautiful head. And people should look them up, and they're just considered so pretty. In Iceland, they are like pigeons. They are everywhere. You walk down the street, you step on one. And so they eat puffin because it's a decent bird to eat. Even though they eat fish, they don't taste fishy. They have puffin burgers and roast puffin and puffin breast, and they have all these different puffin dishes. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's a delicious product. And that's what they eat. They eat tons of puffin. So apparently this guy, who's a BBC food and drink chef, is being just excoriated by the media, by the liberals, and all these people for eating such a cute little bird. Oh, how could anyone eat one of those puffins? Wow. Iceland has, to read from the article, Iceland has the world's largest puffin breeding colony. Around 10 million of the 15 million population live there. And the fresh heart of the seabird is eaten raw. Oh, I didn't know that. Eaten raw is a traditional delicacy. The meat is also smoked. So what is wrong with these people? Apparently Ramsey in 2008 ate a puffin and was criticized roundly by all these. 42 viewers complained to Ofcom in 2008 when Ramsey caught and ate a puffin.
Are they tasty?
Yeah.
What do they taste like?
It's all dark meat.
What do they taste like?
They taste like a duck a little bit like a duck, really? A little bit like a chicken.
Oh.
Somewhere in the middle.
You could put a turducken.
You can eat a beautiful turpuffin.
Turducken.
People eat beautiful mallard ducks. That's one of the prettiest birds in the world. We eat mallards, but no, you can't eat a puffin.
But who is saying that? I haven't read this. This is
the BBC. This is the British public. This Sarah Napton, the science editor, wrote this column. The BBC food and drink chef, Tom Carriage, has provoked anger after boasting that he ate a puffin in Iceland.
I don't know what this is. But let me ask you a different question, food related. Okay. Did I hear the foie gras ban has ended in California?
I haven't heard this.
I thought it had. Someone told me it ended.
I think that's a lie. As far as I know, it has not ended. It just began.
No, I think it just ended.
No, it just began. It was on a hiatus. I mean, there was a long waiting time.
Foie gras is back on the menu, it says here. Yeah, but I can't. I know you're annoyed by me.
Well, I'm reading this too. It's on NPR.
Yes.
The chef celebrated the overturning of California's ban on foie gras.
There you go.
How did this happen?
Well, it was a Judge Wilson rejected the ban as unconstitutional. You should be able to eat whatever you want.
I agree with the judge.
Me too.
Oh, this will get everyone outraged. They'll turn their anger against the puffin eater and back to the foie gras, people eating duck liver. And by the way, the foie gras in the United States generally is duck liver. It's crap. Don't even bother with it. You want goose liver if you want good foie.
Well, we have one. I think I've told you before. We have one restaurant here in Austin, Jeffrey's, and they serve foie gras, which makes me cry.
Why?
Because of the way they prepare it. First of all, it is goose. I know the owners or the previous owners of the restaurant.
Makes you cry? Are you against this?
No, it's so good. It's so tasty.
Yeah, real goose foie gras is delicious.
I had this little cake that is presented on with some pineapple, and it's just it's so nice. If you ever come to Austin, I'm treating you to that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then finally, from my end, I only have one thing. There was Sharpton. I guess there was a...
Finish the show with a Sharpton clip.
Not a clip. It's a little story. Civil rights lawyer Sanford Rubenstein's apartment was searched by police investigating a woman's claim that he had raped her after Sharpton's 60th birthday bash. And they, in the apartment, they found a Viagra prescription bottle with Sharpton's name on it.
Oh, there's a photo. A photo, Bob.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's pretty funny. Al. Hey, Al. Oh, man. All right, everybody.
That's about right.
Plenty of work to do for the coming days. We hope you will support us in our value for value. Remember to go to Dvorak.org/NA. It is what we do, and that's the only way we can do it, so that you are not compromised, you are not the product. You are truly the producers, at the same time the recipients of what we like to think is an outstanding product.
We get to the bottom of things.
in some cases we do. And remember this Putin thing with the trannies. You're going to love using that. World Health Organization definitions. It'd be cool for the water cooler. Get it in now. Coming to you from FEMA Region 6 here in the capital of the Drone Star States. Humbly, I say, in the morning, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I was complaining about something earlier in the show, and it's long since forgotten, I'm John C. Dvorak.
Oh, no. We don't forget anything you're talking about. We'll be back on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Join us then, will you?
We don't have the ability to count every nose that we schwack.
If there's a need for a rescue mission, when the world is threatened, when the world needs help, it calls on America. And that's the story.
Boom shakalaka. Boom shakalaka.
Oh, there's no winning. We don't like to foster a competitive atmosphere, but we laugh a lot. Now everyone hug and share a secret.
Caliphate in Iraq. I think I'm gonna crap my pants.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA